Basilio Show is coming up next. Tips are always appreciated here at TonyBasilio.com, home of the Tony Basilio Show. You found the Tony Basilio stream at TonyBasilio.com or on your smartphone or tablet. Another thrilling, chilling, and sometimes spilling edition of the Basilio Show is on the way next. Tips are always appreciated here at TonyBasilio.com.
FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Let's fire this thing up. Let's focus this thing, and let's prepare this thing. You've got literally, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. You got to get there, and you got to do that thing. You got to get there, and you got to do that thing. Because we're fired up today. We're living in a different reality right about now.
My ears are in a different reality.
Oh,
if you don't
gosh,
get that volume
man.
down.
Oh my gosh,
Good
man!
Gosh,
did it get loud on you?
it's still too loud.
Oh, really? All right,
Jeez.
all right. How about now?
It's a little better.
A little better. Sorry about that.
You don't care.
I do care, man. What do you mean? I don't
No,
care?
you weren't even paying attention. I've been telling you that for like 3 minutes.
Oh,
God. Game management, man.
Matt Dixon, how excited are you to visit with our first guest here right off the top? Because we're stacked, packed, and jacked today. Today we're going to tackle, in no particular order, Tennessee baseball and what the hell's going on there with a guy that's had to sit through all 3 of those games. And I don't know if he gets extra pay for what he did, but Chris Burke's going to join us. And then we're going to talk about roster construction and Rick Barnes seeing the light and adding some offense and changing with the times as the times they are changing. And then, Matt, we're going to get into the implosion of Kim Caldwell and how she's talked herself back for another year with her athletic director. Very interesting backstory there. Matt, how excited are you to foray into today's programming?
Let's go for it. Excited.
How excited are you to talk about the baseball team?
I enjoy it. I love chopping it up with Berkey.
All right, let's bring him in. The man of the hour. He was there for the SEC Network all weekend, /ESPN, /areas in his car with the great John Adams, presented by Jennifer Morris, nextmovesmokymountains.com. Jennifer will be there for all 3 games this weekend. She tells me she's not.
You got me. You got me.
She's not abandoning ship. Berkey.
Bluetooth issues. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not abandoning ship. She's not abandoning ship. How worried are you? How concerned are you about our baseball Vols after what was a gut-wrenching, rip-your-heart-out weekend in Nashville?
Concerned. I don't know. It's weird what adjective. What I would just say is I think it's pretty obvious through 9 games. Every game's going to be a dogfight. I think their pitching's good enough to be in plenty of the games. And then it's going to come down to, some of the little decisions and execution pieces that to this point haven't gone their way. But I will tell you my overwhelming vibe from leaving there is that Josh Elander is even more of a dude than I thought he was, just from just being dialed in on, like, how do I win the game in front of me? And the hardest part about baseball is it's so binary with some of these things. It's like yes or no, leave him in, take him out, bunt, don't bunt. And so it becomes so easy to second guess. And, I listened to a little of your show yesterday. You were talking about the play that on the air I didn't agree with. And I'll be honest with you, he and I spent a bunch of time talking about that play the next day. And one thing I will say is I think everybody needs to remember, like, Josh Elander was the architect, co-architect, or sub-architect of the offenses that have 100 more home runs than the rest of the country over the last, this decade. So nobody wants to play small ball less than him. However, he is being charged with winning the game in front of him with this team on this day against this opponent. And Friday night was as awful of a weather day as you will play in a Southeastern Conference weekend. And I didn't love playing for one run with your 3-hole hitter up. But once we talked through it, it made way more sense than it did in the moment, just about how different Corbin has to manage a one-run game, how much differently he can manage if it's a one-run game. And he just felt like with that pitcher, with that hitter, on that moment, on that day, with how cold and ugly and the wind blowing in, he was like, we had to leave that inning with a run. And I just couldn't get out of there with a strikeout or a double play ball. I had to get that run on the board to make it a one-run game. And just because I didn't love it in the moment doesn't mean I can't go back and go. Because, like, somebody pointed out to me, like, Blaine Brown ended up striking out. Now, you could say, what would the pitch count have been? What would the pitch call have been had they not done that? But I did think, looking back, I was like, you know what? I really respect a guy who has led and called the offense for one of the best offensive, if not the best offensive program in the country over the last 5-6 years, how many years you want to go back. His willingness to do something that is really against his nature as a offensive guy. So I give him credit for that. I know they ended up losing that game, but again, to be fair, they took it to extra innings, and that run was a big part of them taking that to extra innings. So sorry for landing too long on that one play, but I do think decisions like that, when you don't win the game, end up getting probably overly dissected, and I've a little bit changed my stance on it based on what I said initially on the air.
Matt Dixon, I hated that decision. I hate it now. I hated it then. I hated it after hearing Burke's. Look, you got your 3-hitter up. Either you trust it, and you have a favorable count in that spot, don't you, Berkey? Didn't he have a favorable count there?
Well, he struck out like soon thereafter, so I don't know if it was one strike when he did it. He didn't do it like first pitch,
That's what I'm saying. It was in the middle of that account. The pitcher was slipping.
It was in the middle of the count. I don't know if it was favorable or not.
Berkey, I always say to you, I'll say this to you since you got spun and this coach is, and that's fine. I love you. You're my guy. Berkey, what would your opponent want you to do in that spot? Would they trade you scoring a run for an out? That is the really good point. That is the only point. That is the only point.
No, well, don't You're pretty good at letting people make their own decisions. You at least claim that you are.
Go ahead, Burke.
And so I would just say that I said it live. I agree with that line of thinking live.
Yes.
But I do think it's hard at home to realize how awful the hitting conditions were that day.
Mm-hmm. It's a shame because this guy is going to lose the room here with this fan base, and I'm not ready to panic. And I'm not ready. It is silly. I'm not ready to panic because this is a long series. Look, people forget, and Bino pointed this out yesterday. Tony had teams that started like 6-10 in league play or whatever it was, and then took off in the second half. This team has great pitching, and they're pretty good defensively, which leads me to believe that eventually the weather's going to get a little warmer. The worm's going to turn. A couple of them are going to start hitting, and they're going to start winning some of these close games. They have to. But let me bring Matt Dixon in, and then John, and we'll go around the horn. And Berkey, I love you. You know that. But
oh yeah. I'm all about it. Let's mix it up.
Well, I mean, if people could see some of the cheap shots that Burke will send me, like when he's in Louisville or wherever he is listening to the program, and he'll go, yeah, okay, Tony, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, boy, Burke is
I'm just glad you're healthy today, Tony. I'm glad you're not fighting a sinus infection. What you got?
All right, hey, Matt, it's getting physical in here. It went from verbal to physical pretty quickly.
It's just verbal. Verbal. Don't take it personal.
Hey, Matt, jump in with the great Chris Burke, who I love.
Yeah, Burke, you just all the coaching decisions, all that stuff aside, how does Tennessee respond after those 3 games? Because I mean, they kind of responded the next 2 days after getting walked off, but I mean, obviously, really demoralizing. Like, what was the bus ride back to Knoxville like? You think, and how does this team get up off the mat going forward? Because that seems like the biggest challenge right now for Elander, that his kind of leadership and the program culture and the leadership among players. It feels like you need somebody to step up in a moment like this.
Yeah, well, I would say that in a weird way, I think the game is played by your position players, and so in a weird way, I think you feel a little better after a slugfest heartbreak than you do after a nobody could get a hit heartbreak. So in a weird way, I think that at least the offense takes some momentum back to Knoxville. Now, a sweep is a sweep, especially at the hands of your rival. There's no sugarcoating that. I will say, Josh was stuck with a very tough dilemma filling out the lineup on Sunday. And as much as people want to knock him for a couple of the decisions that he made, not only playing Blaine Brown on Sunday, but putting him in the 2-hole, turned out to be a very wise decision, and one that they're hopeful Blaine Brown can take a bunch of momentum from, because his first 10 at-bats over the first 2 games of that series, he was essentially a no-show in 10 at-bats. And it was at the point of, like, we're either going to shove this guy right back at the top of the order and prove to him that we love him and trust him, or maybe this guy needs a day off. And, like a lot of decisions, you could have seen either one. And he put him in the 2-hole, and Blaine Brown responded with an absolute laser show 3-for-5 game. So that gives them some hope. I do think their first, Evan Blanco was way better than his line would suggest. That being said, he wasn't as good as he typically is. Again, a very tough day to pitch. I think the frustrating thing about Sunday's game was, to me, Matt, sorry for getting off a little bit on your question, but that game honestly was set up to be a run roll. Like, it really was. Like, Vanderbilt has given up 16, 17, and now 15 on Sundays. And if Tennessee just makes 3 basic plays to start the 3rd inning, I really think they would have run rolled that game.
That's right.
I think it would have been a 7-inning game, and they'd have been back to Knoxville. And honestly, I don't know that Vanderbilt is so limited on Sunday. Like, at one point, I can't remember, it was the 4th or the 5th when Tennessee scored like 6 runs, and it ending with a base running error on a line drive with the bases loaded. They had that submariner in the game. Tennessee had the bases loaded, and I think it only scored, I guess it was 4 runs. Nobody was even getting loose, guys. Like,
they were going to take their loss. They were going to take their loss, weren't they, and take it to the house?
That was it. They just, that's where they're at.
That's remarkable.
And that one inning started with a pop-up, a ground ball, and a ground ball, and a check swing single.
Wow.
And it turned into a 5 spot. And it's like, Tennessee has played awesome infield defense, at least from a fielding percentage standpoint, all year long. They came into the weekend second in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, and I think only one of those went down as an error, but
they were bad.
It's just it's a classic, like, when it rains it pours, when you hit, you don't pitch, you don't play defense. So Matt, to get back to your answer, sorry, I think the way they find confidence is the first 4 arms they're going to throw at a team on Friday and Saturday are major league players. And I think you find confidence in the fact that, like, Arvidsson, Coons, Mack, and Appenzeller, I'm not saying they're all going to end up in the big leagues, but those guys are all going to be top 5-round draft picks, and a couple of them might end up being first-round draft picks.
Thank you.
And so that gives you a chance. It really does.
You know, Berkey, the other thing Sunday that you look back on, just a lost opportunity, is they pull Blanco after 62 pitches. He's got more length than that. Just a lot of weird things. And that's the other thing that this guy's fighting.
That's why you had that long inning where he had to get like 6 outs. And I think he was like a 30-pitch inning. And you needed him to go more than 3 innings. Absolutely. After the 16-inning game, he needed to give you more length, and you would have been able to close it out there in the 9th.
Everything that could have happened that went wrong for these guys happened. Everything. I mean, you talk about, like Burke said, it raining and it pouring. You could see that grand slam coming from a mile away. Berkey, did you sense that was going to happen before it happened? That Krenzel guy, when he walked out there, his body language was.
What I thought.
Go ahead.
You know, I always tell you, these guys tell you what they think about their team by the way they manage the game. Like, the fact that Abraham had a 39-pitch max to that point and went back out there with 76 pitches. You know, okay. And then he hung in there for 3 hitters. And, you know, I'll just say this. At 15-12 with 2 dudes on, that was the first time it crossed my mind that they could lose the game. And then once it got to the bases loaded, even if the Gooden kid doesn't hit the grand slam right there, like, you're right back at the top of the order with Mancini and Barzy and Johnson. Like, it was again, as bad as Friday was, I can't tell you how. I mean, the score tells you it was 16-15. The wind was blowing out 30. The ball Brody Johnston hit in the first inning, if he'd have hit that Friday night, this might sound hyperbolic, but I really think Garrett and
I think Berkey said
it was a home run.
Yeah. That ball stays in play. Chris Burke joining. And nice enough.
No. The grand slam was a no doubter.
Oh no. I know you're talking. Yeah. The ball.
I'm talking about that ball Brody Johnston.
Yeah.
It's just the psychology of sport. Like, nobody can. You know, the Saturday game, the wind's blowing straight in. There were 29 half innings where nobody scored, and then Sunday both teams looked like the Yankees. You know, well, what's the difference? Same players.
Well, I love you.
Out, one day the wind's blowing in.
I love you and Tom. I love you and Tom doing the game, knowing that it's a slow pitch softball game. I commented yesterday. It's middle innings. Vanderbilt hits a ground ball to take the lead. You guys are in the middle of a baseball conversation, and Tom goes, "Oh, and and Vanderbilt scores to make it 6-5." So back to what we were. Back to hamburgers or whatever, you know. It was like, what do you like on a ham? You know. And in other words, we've done enough games on Sunday in the SEC when teams are out of pitching to know that we're going to see some slow pitch softball today. We're going to be
especially with those conditions.
Yes.
Yeah, especially with those conditions.
You guys didn't even sell for that run. It was like, and Vanderbilt takes the lead. You know, it was like it was just like
no.
And
it's
Vanderbilt,
like when Titan Bill calls in the show. You know, it's just like next thing you know, you end up somewhere you never imagined you'd be.
So, John Adams jump in with the great Chris Burke, who's feeling chipper today.
Well, thanks, Tony. You mentioned about.
Hey, John. How are you?
I'm doing well, Chris. Tony said we're going to go around the horn here, and I didn't think he was going to get past first base. Kind of stopped
I'm pretty
it.
wordy today. So
He just stopped it. He stopped at Matt, and then he went off on his thing. But I know how much
double play really slow.
Yeah, I know how much, Chris, you care about Tony. So I do want to update you. His back he's in pain. His back's hurting him. That comes from a sinus condition. Some people might say, how's the back related to sinus? But it is. And we'll talk off air, and I'll go into the detail.
Okay,
and I'll let you know the correlation between the back and the sinuses.
Okay.
Chris, the thing about it and the Sunday game was obviously an aberration. That as you're saying, the wind's blowing out. But in Vanderbilt's light on pitching, when you go back, I guess I go back to a non-conference series right off the bat against Kent State when Tennessee didn't hit. This hitting thing has gone on, or lack of, has gone on a long time. Is it possible that a lot of these guys that we thought might be really good hitters just aren't quite that good?
So, yes, that's a possibility. I would say that I think this is a pretty interesting correlation to what's obviously kind of hot and heavy right now with Tennessee's basketball roster construction. One of the things I really empathize with for these coaches is, and again, two things can be true. I can love Josh Elander and think the world of him, and I can also make an unbiased defense of kind of where they're at right now with their roster, and it not be because I think so highly of him as a person. And what I mean is this. Tony left at the end of October. The players playing on their team today, Tony was the architect of the decisions around the roster that exists today. Now, they've lost 4 one-run games. You could certainly make the argument, fair-minded, that if Tony and Frank Anderson were there, maybe they'd won more of those. I don't know. None of us know that, right? But what I do know is that the players that are a part of those decisions are the players that Tony and Josh and Frank decided as a group, however those decisions go down, would be their team. What's my point? A lot of those players are players they love, they recruited, and they've put a lot of time in trying to develop. And you could make a very good case coming into this year that a bunch of those dudes were going to make huge Kavaris Pierce, Dylan Dreiling, Hunter Emsley, Trey Lipscomb, Cortland Lawson jumps, and they haven't. And that's hard because when you're Tennessee, basketball terms, if Tennessee looked at their roster right now and said, we love Troy Henderson, we love Amari Evans, we love Dwayne Brown, we love Ethan Berg, we love J.P. Estrella, all we have to do is get like 1 or 2 players plus those guys, we're going to go to the Final Four. And if they come back and those players don't make huge jumps and they end up, whatever, an 8 seed, people will be like, well, they bet on the wrong guys, and that's fair, unfair. And the truth is, they thought Levi Clark, and again, he might still do this, but as of now, he has 2 home runs. Tony thought he was going to hit 20. They thought Jay Abernathy was going to be a Enrique Bradfield Jr. type of top of the order kind of player. I think they thought Manny Marin's been good. I think they thought he had a chance to be great. There was a thought that Stone Lawless could have the offensive impact that like an Evan Russell was going to have, and maybe he still will. But I will tell you this: LSU's in the spot they're in, and Arkansas is in the spot they're in because you make these portal choices and you make these player development choices. Reese Robinette is playing first base right now for Arkansas. He has 1 home run. One. Do you know how many players in the portal Arkansas passed on that they could have gotten, but they kept Reese Robinette? They're Arkansas. They could have gotten 10 different dudes that probably have 8 to 12 home runs right now. But they banked on Reese Robinette making a jump, and when he doesn't, it's that you feel that. You only have a certain amount of players on your team.
Dave has a question for you. He says, Chris Burke, are you watching the same Tennessee team I am watching? Dave is having How
so? I'll take that question on. In what aspect of the game?
In what aspect of the game, Dave? After he comes back to me, I'll get back to this. So Matt asks a great question, which is, how do you respond? Okay, this game is so random and crazy. We all saw the meme last week. We all saw the cut up last week of Sully in the dugout down there at Florida. He turns his face. He's so disgusted. He's looking into his dugout, and he looks apoplectic by what he's saying. His team goes on and beats Florida State and then goes to Arkansas and wins 3 in a row. It makes 0 sense. Could we be in
Bama the same way? Alabama the same way. They got swept by Kentucky and they've won 6 straight.
Could we?
How do you figure?
Could we be in a? Well, the Tennessee team had Georgia beat in that final game of that series, and Georgia's been streaking ever since. They won that Sunday game, and it's jumped them into a different stratosphere. So my question is this: is this a year where the league is just going to beat on the league? Is that what we're seeing here? Sort of like we saw in football last year.
Well, I think the last time I was on, I told you I think 10 or 12 of the teams are going to be between 13 and 17 wins. And so I've told you, so many times the reason that it's such a blast to cover the league is that every single one of those games matters. And it's a race. When you talk about just getting into postseason play, it is a race to get to 14. Like if you get to 14, you feel pretty good on Selection Monday. Well, right now Tennessee has 3. And we all know that they've, been right in. Again, there's 4 one-run losses. So you're sitting there going, okay, not through 9 games, that's not nothing. That's a pretty good, you're a third of your way almost through your conference season. Like, it's pretty safe to say they're going to play a bunch of close games. Can they flip the script? Think about Tennessee basketball, how many leads they blew and turnovers and free throw shooting. And it's like, you watch that team play, you're like, I could see the best case scenario of that team making it to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. Mm-hmm. But can they make free throws? Can they not turn the ball? It's like with this Tennessee team, you're like, okay, here they are. They've lost 4 one-run games. All right, can they flip the script and get a couple more hits with runners in scoring position and make a play here or there on defense? And can they get off the field with 2 outs in a sticky situation? Like, if so, then they can go 12-9 down the stretch and play 15-15 ball. If not, they could be staring at 12 or 13 conference wins and biting their fingernails on Selection Monday. I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you than that, but I just think, again, the whole league besides Mississippi State, I really think besides Mississippi State and Texas, I think everybody else is going to be, and then there's going to be some teams that wear it. Obviously, South Carolina and Missouri off the bad starts again. But I think, there's those 4 teams. I think the other 12 are going to be between, 12 and 18 or 13 and 17 wins. And your guess is as good as mine on who that is.
Chris Burke jumping in. Anybody else? Anybody have anything for Berkey? Berkey, I got to ask you this.
What's Negative want me to? What
Negative says the following: Tony Vitello had teams that could hit lots of homers. This team can't do that.
Well, again, Dave, this is Tony's roster. I don't know what else to tell you. He left in the end of October. This is Tony's team.
But if Tony was there, they'd be hitting more home runs. That's what Negative's saying.
Okay. Did Tony coach the hitters or did Josh?
Josh has always coached the hitters. Josh has always coached.
Who coached the hitters, Dixie? Who coached the hitters?
Can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor? Can you get this Reynolds guy to take the hoodie off? No, seriously, I'm not trying to be superficial. If I'm going to sit here and watch this team do that, this guy looks like a Smurf. I don't know what he's going
Frank
for.
Not wear a hoodie?
Yeah, but Frank was the king of cool. This guy looks like a skinny Smurf. But not Josh. This guy looks like a skinny Smurf walking around in a hoodie.
Well,
and what is it with these? What is it with these?
Sunday notwithstanding.
What is it with these coaches and these hoodies? What is this? Oh, one other thing.
I don't know. I don't know. I'll be sure to. That'll be my first question Friday when we meet with the coaches, Tony. I'll make sure to ask that question.
By the way, if you're going to be in, please come see us. We'll buy your meal down at Calhoun's like we did last year.
Friday. Yeah, let me see what I got going on.
Yeah,
Friday.
I'd love to see you. Yeah. We're going to be down there at Calhoun's. Yeah. I'd love to see you, Berkey.
Will Dave be there to tell me who coached the hitters for the last 9 years?
Nega Dave wants to. Yeah, Nega Dave will work on his research and be there.
Okay.
Question for all around the room, because Berkey, you love hoops too. How about Rick Barnes changing? The blog we wrote today speaks of a coach who has come to the realization that I better get some guys that can put the ball in the basket if I want to get past that Elite 8 round, which is exactly what they're doing. You talk about old dogs learning new tricks or seeing the light or being able to adapt and adjust. And John, I start with you. They're going to get offensive players first. They're going to offense first this time through the portal. Your thoughts on that, John?
Well, I'll have to see it first. I trust your opinion. He's gotten offensive players in the past, maybe not quite enough of them,
right,
but he's still going to demand that they play great defense or hard defense or get the most out of their defensive ability. He did that with Dalton Connect. He brought in Chas Lanier. You watch that Michigan team dismantle Tennessee, and you watch Arizona, and those are the two elite teams. They'll play Saturday. They do everything well. So what you're talking about basically is you've got to recruit better players. That's
what they're doing, and they're going after a super team. They're going to invest.
Well, then it comes down to money.
Yeah.
Are they willing to pay?
They are willing to pay, and Berkey, isn't that crazy? Where we are in hoops right now, that we're literally, you're in the state of Kentucky, who right now is in danger of becoming Nebraska in basketball if they're not careful. They really are. They're in danger of becoming irrelevant, and it's kind of slipping through their fingers. You talk about making bad decisions on personnel the last few years and throwing bad money at good, or whatever that saying is, good money at bad, whatever the saying is. Berkey, from your perspective, watching Rick Barnes evolve in this way is remarkable, isn't it?
It's pretty amazing where we're at. Like that, you're just sitting there going, okay, well, I guess the second weekend is now par for the course, and it's just like a player or two away from being in the big dance, so to speak. I tell you this: the Burke boys watched the highlights of that kid from Belmont that they have on campus, and we got pretty excited at the thought of that dude coming off screens and hitting jumpers. Because again, what's funny is, I'm with John. What's funny is my second oldest boy, Eli, was like, we've never had a shooter like that. I'm like,
no.
Eli, Chas Lanier just led the league in 3-point shots made last season.
This guy's release, though, but this guy's release.
No, it's beautiful. I'm not saying he's not a great shooter. I'm just saying it's disingenuous to say that. I mean, with Connect and Lanier, like we've had some great. Have we had three of them on the court at the same time? Never. Does that feel like where we probably need to be to get to that last four? It kind of does. So does Amit come back? I mean, if you had Amit and that kid, and
no,
you find yourself a point guard, you don't think Amit's coming back? No chance.
No chance. Zero chance.
There's just too much money to be had.
I do think we've seen the scenario of the great point guard and the great two guard. I mean, we had Zakai and Chaz, and we had Zakai and Connect. So we've seen that formula.
Yes.
It feels like there needs to be one or two others on top of that.
Guys, wait till you see the trick they have up their sleeve, and then we're going to all get back together. I want to get you back on.
Are they going to make Nate Amit reappear as a college basketball player?
No, Berkey. I want to see your face when this thing comes down, because this is going to be. This here is going to be something that's going to shake up college hoops.
Love it.
So
I'm all about it.
And they are. Rick Barnes is 1,000,000% all in on building a super team like the one Michigan had. Michigan had 3 returning starters and basically recruited over those guys. They just went right out in the portal and said, okay, here's $14 million to throw at the problem, and now it's going to take probably between 14 and 18. And I think the Vols at the end of the day are willing to do it, which leads me to this. We are a basketball school.
Well, it's pretty unbelievable.
That's how you comport yourself.
If you really consider this decade is the modern era of college basketball.
Yep.
It's almost like almost everything before it doesn't count.
Yes.
And, you look at where we're at this decade, we are clearly at the top of the league. And to say we're at the top of the sport, I guess you have to make a Final Four. But we are, nobody else is going to three Elite Eights besides Duke. So this post-COVID era, Tennessee is operating at certainly a top 10 level when you look at our tournament results. And, there's just one more step to take, and it's pretty exciting to think about it. And, again, back to that roster construction, like everybody's excited about those freshmen, but I don't think anybody thinks those freshmen are ready to take you to a Final Four next year.
No.
And I think the parallels I think the parallels of that with this baseball roster are that for this baseball roster to get you to Omaha, those freshmen from last year that are now sophomores, Clark and Newstrom and Abernathy and Coons and even Stone Lawless is a redshirt sophomore. Blake Grimmer's a redshirt sophomore. Like, when you bank on all those kids taking that huge next step, and I don't even think it's fair, but when they don't quite make that huge leap, you end up in kind of a gap year, but then you end up in a tough spot this offseason because then you go, well, now we've invested 2 or 3 years in these kids. Now what do we do?
Yeah, do you wait? It's kind of like the conversation Tennessee's having behind the scenes about the big kid from Maine. Do I bring this kid back and count on him to stay healthy? This is what college sports are now. Or do we process him and go get somebody else? Do I count on Estrella? You got to really manage your roster these days.
I think you'd be crazy not to bring Estrella
I
back.
agree with that.
There's no way there's 10 big men in America that are better than Estrella
I agree with
next
that.
year, my opinion.
Go ahead,
if
John.
he's healthy.
Well, but
If
that's
he's
a
healthy.
big if. He's had foot problems, cost him a season. Sideline him a bit for this season, but an athlete.
But for the most part, he answered the bell this year.
He did.
He answered the bell.
He's
but
like me with a sinus infection.
and a back hurts, and he's got an ice pack on now.
Yeah.
And so with Estrella, though, if you've got foot problems, that to me is a bad sign. Remember who's the guy? Greg Odom.
Oh, there's been all kinds of guys like that.
Yeah, Greg Odom would have been, I think,
Big
an elite
people in
NBA
feet.
player.
Big people in feet, John. Sam Bowie. Big people in feet. That's a big issue, man.
I think what you have
I'm happy to be wrong, but if Estrella was on the market tomorrow, if Estrella was on the market tomorrow, I think the who's who in college basketball would be lined up to take him.
Probably.
And he probably goes to UConn and becomes an All-American next year, Matt. That's the thing me and C were talking about last night, Matt. That is exactly what would happen, Matt Dixon. Yes or no? If they let him go, he would go to UConn and become an All-American.
Yeah, he'd go somewhere and be really good if healthy. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's why you have to keep him. And as long as it's kind of within market value,
I'd bet on him.
He's a great fit for what you ask your big men to do as well, and that can't be, overlooked in what we're doing.
I think you have to, when making these roster decisions now, particularly in basketball, when you're dealing with a limited number of players, you have to make a decision based on the here and now.
Yeah.
And I know development is great, and Barnes has done a really nice job of developing players. But what I'm saying, that's still uncertainty. You don't know that guys will take the next step or make a big jump.
Hard.
So if you look at a player at Kansas State or Sacramento State and look at him right now and say he's better at this position than what we have, I think you need to make that. You need to make that choice. So who's to say that he won't get even better in your system?
Back to baseball on the way out. Berkey will be here for the LSU series. Berkey, if you had your qualms, who's our second baseman? Because they're having all kinds of issues with that middle infield, and you just made a noise. That's not a good sign. Who's our second baseman, Berkey?
I think, I think your best offense that is at least capable defensively would be with Grimmer at second.
Matt?
Well, I think you got to put Grimmer at first and have Levi Clark catching with Lawless out. I still think you kind of do the revolving door thing with Myatt, Newstrom, and Abernathy until one of them comes along. I think Abernathy gives your team the highest potential, but he can barely put a ball in play.
This team right now is a mess.
Grimlinger has to play, though, right, Dixie? Grimlinger has to play.
Yes, I think he can be your DH, or him and Clark can kind of split catching duties. The weird thing about Clark is, he's gotten better the last few weeks, but he only hit when he was catching the first month of the season, which was really odd.
He's starting to come alive. He's my hope for the second half of the year, that he can get really hot. Okay, one other thing for you, Berkey.
All right.
Million people are asking on our chat, millions, and they're asking in a real nice way. Does that head coach need to try something different and put himself in the dugout? And I say this as a matter of observation. He's not a good third base coach. He's just not good at it. No, I mean, no, if he's got no feel for it. No offense to him. I'm not trying to rip the guy. I'm for him, not against him. I love him.
He's been doing it for 9 years.
And he's been bad at it for 9 years. That's the point. So how about if we get in the dugout? How about if we get in the dugout like all the rest of the SEC managers outside of Corbs? Okay.
I'll just say it wouldn't shock me if that's the case next year.
How about this weekend?
I got to go.
Love you, Berkey. Thank you, Berkey. What do you think of me bringing a guest on and yelling and screaming at him, John? Do you have any, like, we love each other that much? And you should see some of the needling Berkey does to me when we're on the air. He's a T Club member. He's out there having fun with us.
Yeah, and Chris is he's very good at what he does.
Oh, he's the best.
He's
really the best.
I really respect his opinion. We talked early in the season about we're talking about hitting and the fact that the strike zone is a little different now.
Yes.
I think that has an impact. You couldn't tell it by Sunday's game at Vanderbilt with the wind blowing out, but I think that overall, I saw it in with other teams in the SEC playing seemingly weaker mid-majors.
Yep.
They didn't hit as much as they have in years past.
Here's a question for Matt, which I should have gotten to with Burke. Hey, Matt, this restricted strike zone that they've committed to, there were a lot of borderline pitches that were called strikes over the weekend for both teams. How has that played into the lack of offense, Matt, in your mind?
Well, I mean, a bigger strike zone obviously helps pitchers.
Yep. And they're calling everything strikes.
Yeah, they're giving a lot.
Which they should.
Yeah, I mean, it got a little too tight last year, I thought.
Yep, I agree.
Where you basically had to put it over. You couldn't, hit the black and get strike calls. So it got a little too tight, and they've expanded it this year, and it's definitely pitcher friendly. And hitters are still adjusting to it.
I think I wonder, Matt, Tony, about the psychological aspect of it. When hitters, in the past, when hitters know this guy's got to get it, he can't just nibble at the corner. He's got to come in my swing zone here and bring it in. Particularly when I've got the favorable count, I think it gives a real sense of confidence, of comfort to a hitter. Whereas now when you say the pitchers might get the corner, he's in more of a defensive mode as a hitter. He better protect the plate.
When we come back on the other side, it looks like Danny White has dug in his heels and is defending Queen Kimmy to the hilt. She has sold him a line. Did she sell him the truth? I don't know. But she sold him. And she's back for another season, it looks like, barring the unforeseen. There always could be a big money booster that steps up and says, get rid of her. And then she goes. That's how this works. So you always reserve the right when you're talking about something. And I do think there's still this thing is pretty fluid. You had her top recruiting assistant coach yesterday go. You have another assistant coach, as we told you last week, that's on the move. You've got a guy they brought in yesterday who the belief in that sport was about to get terminated or was getting terminated at Florida State. Florida State have a good program. Where are they in this sport?
They're not as good as they were. And they lost a key player to South Carolina, Laxton, after last season.
So they got
leading scorer.
They got picked on.
So they're not, they were more of a Sweet 16 team.
When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the inner workings of the Caldwell deal. And it is, I'll give her this. She's made Lady Vol basketball. The last two coaches couldn't hold a candle to her for how interesting the sport is under her. Now it's for all the wrong reasons, but I give her a lot of credit. She's got me watching, paying attention, trading information with people, keeping my ear to the ground. I've never been this interested in Lady Vol basketball, so I will give Kim Caldwell a lot of credit. She's got my ear. She's got my attention. I said in the middle of the season, when you saw their team quit, I said this and the player flare-ups. Right around the time of that South Carolina, I warned, I encouraged everybody to start paying attention. Little did I know that 10 weeks later, it would turn into what it's like As the World Turns, starring Queen Kimmy. That's what we have now. We come back on the other side and continue with more right after this.
When it's time for your next move, you want to get your precious belongings from point A to point B with your peace of mind intact. That's why you need to call my friends at Gufon Moving and Storage, East Tennessee's moving legend. Gufon Moving and Storage has been helping East Tennesseans move since 1887. That's 138 years, 5 generations. That's even longer than the Dooley, Jones, and Pruitt era combined. Gufon Moving and Storage are pro movers, serving Knoxville, surrounding areas, and interstate moves too, both residential and commercial. And we'll provide you with personalized service that other corporate movers simply cannot. We know how to move all types of items. We pay careful attention to our clients' valuables. Your satisfaction as a customer is our absolute priority. As the oldest continually owned and operated family moving business in the United States, when it's time for your next move, it's Gufon Moving and Storage. And storage, it's secure and vaulted. Our newest offering of commercial storage logistics, we offer receiving, storage, and delivery services for all your business logistic needs. See more at Gufon.com. That's Gufon.com. Or check out the link at tclub.team. When it's time for your next move, East Tennessee's moving legend, Gufon Moving and Storage.
Life never stops moving. And between the 30-minute commutes, daycare pickups, weekly soccer practice, Tuesday night yoga, X number of coffee runs, and that weekend trip to Grandma's, you're racking up the miles. What you need is a tire that can keep up. A tire designed for doers. A tire that's going to last. Like the exceptionally long-lasting Michelin Defender tire. With an 80,000-mile warranty and the safety and comfort you expect, you can forget all about the miles ahead and focus on getting your destination or conquering your to-do list. Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. That's Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. Fleet Tire.
Inward Half is committed to the game and the memorable moments that happen in between. From the tee box to the tailgate, from the green to the big game. For the first birdie with Dad, the first big win with Mom. Friday night lights, Saturday superstitions, Sunday traditions. Fall into the comfort and unparalleled performance of Inward Half. This fall, enjoy the walk-in.
Are you tired of hiding your smile because of crooked teeth? At Knoxville Smiles, we've got the perfect solution. Invisalign. No metal, no wires. Just clear, comfortable aligners that straighten your teeth without anyone noticing. Eat what you want, smile with confidence, and see results in as little as 6 months. Call us today for more information about Invisalign, 865-539-1776. Or just visit us online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Fan Run Radio, where Big Orange Country comes to talk sports. Start your morning off with your daily dose of talk sports with John Reed and Cody McClure from 8 to 11. Then it's Tony Basilio from 11 to 1. The Playbook with William Pattison from 1 to 3. And The Drive from 3 to 6. It's 10 hours of hard-hitting local sports radio every day.
Out-of-town law firms have been swarming into East Tennessee lately. From Memphis, Chattanooga, and Birmingham, they've stormed into the area. Wouldn't you rather do business with a local firm? You know, a true neighbor. Marcos Garza and the pros at the Garza Law Firm are just that. There are neighbors and friends that support local causes year-round. The Garza Law Firm works to serve you professionally on criminal matters, injuries and accident matters, and Social Security and disability filings. The Garza Law Firm is here for you at garzalaw.com. The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Start the new year with comfort and savings from Pipe Wrench Home Services. Tired of high energy bills and constant heating and AC repairs? Ready for a more efficient home? There's never been a better time to upgrade your comfort and take control of your energy costs. Upgrade your HVAC system now with Pipe Wrench Home Services and make no payments until 2027. A new energy-efficient system means lower bills, fewer breakdowns, and peace of mind for years to come. And with Pipe Wrench Home Services same-day service guarantee, you won't wait to start enjoying a more comfortable home. Your comfort isn't just our job, it's our promise. Upgrade your HVAC system now with Pipe Wrench Home Services and make no payments until 2027. Schedule your free estimate today at pipewrench.com. Pipe Wrench Home Services, trusted in Knoxville, Maryville, Oak Ridge, and neighboring communities for over 20 years. Same-day service guaranteed, or the visit is free. Offer good with approved credit. Some restrictions apply. Visit pipewrench.com for details.
Hey, I'm Alan, and we ship floors on Bristol Highway in Johnson City. Are you tired of walking around on that ratty-looking carpet that you have? Well, today's your lucky day because we have Supercore on sale for $1.79. 58 colors we're liquidating. Supercore is the best waterproof floor with a lifetime warranty. Where are you going to find that anywhere else? Nowhere, let me tell you. $1.79, lifetime warranty. Come on down to Bristol Highway on your truck and trailer and let's make a deal.
Gotta love this time of the year. Hoops here, home runs over there, and you've got to get your Tennessee on. And there's only one place, the best place to shop for your officially licensed Tennessee Volunteer Gear, Alumni Hall. Hands down, the best store for Vol fans. They've got the latest and greatest apparel for the entire family. Hats, man cave items, decor, and more. Get your Vols grill cover, a plate for your burgers, and of course, that chef's apron for all that outdoor grilling this spring. And accrue those rewards and watch your balance grow online or on the app. We'll see you at Alumni Hall and alumnihall.com and G to the B to the O, Alumni Hall.
TB back with you, 865-200-5402 as we welcome you back. Marky Mark and the Lunchy Bunch coming up for his final installment. We're going to send him off as the champion he is today. He was incredible this year. Mark Griffin, from beginning to end, the beginning of that basketball season to the end, was absolutely next level. And now we've got a segment here in our B block, which is a short segment. I want to discuss Queen Kimmy and As the World Turns at the University of Tennessee. John, do you believe Kim Caldwell is coming back? Yes or no? John Adams.
It looks like she is coming back, but that's a mistake.
John, did you believe she was coming back a week and a half ago when this thing was...
I didn't see how she could.
Yeah. She is a survivor. Keep on surviving.
But if you survive and your roster and your staff doesn't...
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like these survivalists that go underground and they've got all these supplies and they can live for another 6 months and then they come out and the world's been destroyed. So...
Are you cracking on survivalists, John?
I believe in preparation, but I'm just saying it could work out, though, even though you survive, what's out there for you.
The other thing that's odd about Kim Caldwell is she's kind of reclusive in the midst of this. Like, if you're going to rebuild this thing, you need to get out in the public, and you need to get on shows like this and tell everybody, hey, we really screwed up this year. I've really soiled the brand. We had an embarrassing year. I need some patience. I need all hands on deck. I need all my former players on board. And she's not going to do that.
Well, she needs to do a State of the Union address, so to speak.
Yes.
I thought that even in the middle of the season. It was as though she was going along. The season wasn't going that well. And you're thinking, it was kind of like she was just at any program. But she's at this once iconic program, and she's not paying attention to that.
Here's what's going on behind the scenes. She's gone to Danny White, and she's convinced him that she had an assistant coach that undermined her. And she's convinced him that she has an assistant coach that turned the team against her, and that the assistant coach also encouraged her to change her style of play, which she was not comfortable with doing. And she wants to go back out and reload her roster and play her 94 feet of hell, or whatever it was, because it's hell watching it.
It was heavenly for the opposition breaking that press. Okay, she's the head coach,
right?
Not the assistant coach.
Right.
What should any head coach... if your assistant is causing problems, then your assistant is gone and you go with the shortest staff the rest of the year. That's easily corrected. You don't allow that to continue. You act on it. You don't wait till the end of the season and then go complain to your AD. If that's true, and I haven't heard that, but you have pretty good sources, so maybe there's something to it.
So that's what she sold Danny White on. Danny's spinning that to people.
Yeah, but if Pat
Summitt got word in December that Kim Mulkey, the guy at Texas, the lady over at South Carolina, the lady at South Carolina would jackhammer that man into the ground,
throw
right?
him through a window,
throw
him through an
That's
offense
exactly
window.
what would happen to him.
They'd go get
He'd get the shiv on him. She'd probably pull something out of her pocket and give him the shiv. And then give him the shove. This lady's going to tell me she sat over there all year and let an assistant coach stay on her staff that undermined her, which is the story. I'm telling you, that is the story.
Okay. If you're head of the company and one of your managers comes to you and tells the head of the company, this assistant manager I have has been undermining me. That's why we're having these problems.
Right.
And you're the head of the company?
Yes.
What do you take from that is this guy can't lead. This guy can't manage.
Somebody in the chat brings up a really good point. Danny didn't have communication with Tony Vitello, but he does with Kim Caldwell. What's the difference, Sean, as you say it? She is a Danny White joint. That's the difference. Not a Michael Scott joint. She's a Danny White joint. He, for some reason, cannot admit I made a mistake here. When everybody else can see that he made a mistake here. Everybody else can see that. So basically what happened yesterday is the Lady Vols traded one of the top recruiters in that sport, a guy that's known as having all these contacts. And I know very little about the sport, but John, that's true. This guy that they had, it's the guy that brought the whole roster in last year, right?
He brought this acclaimed recruiting class here. He recruited at a higher level than anybody you've had at Tennessee for a while.
And your information, John, is that this top recruit, is she going to get here next year, the one that Candace Parker bought for her?
Well, that was through Adidas. That was a big part of it. I think that player's doing everything she can to put an end to that deal and go somewhere else. I can't believe she would come here.
What is the AD? What in the hell is the AD thinking, besides magical thinking at this point? Explain that to me.
Well, we've just been talking about baseball and talking about players making a jump from one year to the next.
Yeah.
Maybe he's thinking, okay, she's going to learn from her mistakes, and I really believe she's a great coach and can build a great program, and she's got a great system. That's a little bit magical, yes.
Yeah.
But that would have to be the thought process. The only other explanation is I don't want to admit I made a mistake. I mean, in sports, and whether you're an AD, a coach, a talk show host, a columnist, you admit mistakes all the time. Things change from one day to the next. A year ago, after the season, I wrote that Kim Caldwell made Danny White look like a genius. First year, he makes this unknown hire. She comes in here, wins 24 games, is the last team to beat UConn, which roars to a national championship. Does all of that with a roster that wasn't hers. Great hire. Okay, a year later, I don't go back and say, well, I can't change my opinion now. Look what I said back then. No, everything changes from day to day.
Absolutely. And when you see somebody manage or mismanage this thing to the point where then they come to you at the end of the year, and this is the word. Hey, I had a guy undermine me. And he's going to take players with him, and they're going to go whatever the deal is, and hey, we're all going to live happily. Pat Summitt would have pulled that guy aside, taken him out back, kicked him in his jimmy, dropped him to the ground, called a press conference and said, I just talked to a guy who tried to undermine my culture, and I kicked him in his you-know-what, and he is now on the street, because that's how you handle it. Anybody, Rick Barnes, if Rick Barnes got word that one of his assistant coaches was trying to undermine and pull the team away from him,
but Tony,
I mean, come on.
But Tony, the assistant coach wouldn't do that to Rick Barnes. He wouldn't do that to Pat Summitt. That indicates right there a lack of respect and a lack of confidence in your boss's leadership.
Yes.
I mean, the assistant coaches have a career to manage. They have their own
Doc
career
Holliday
to
said
manage.
she did. She fired his ass, John. She fired him yesterday. What do you say to that?
No, she did not fire him.
No, she did not either.
He resigned.
He quit.
He's going to get a better job.
Yeah.
He didn't get fired.
Watch to Doc Holliday. Watch by the end of the week. I hate to break it to you. No offense, but you're tilting at windmills, man, with this lady. I'm just calling it like it is. And John's calling. Look, I don't care. I mean, to me, it just became an interesting thing to look at. I mean, I'm not versed in the sport, but my ears to the ground, and I'm telling you right now, I've never heard some of the stuff I heard out of this lady's program. I've never heard in my life, and I'm talking about Derek Dooley. I'm talking about Butchie Boy Jones. I mean, we've seen some clown shows here. Okay, I've never heard some of the stuff I hear coming out of this thing. Well, Marky Mark and the Lunchy Bunch on the other side after this.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
It's the hottest post-game show on the planet. Garza Law. Fifth quarter fan reaction. Fan reaction. As soon as the final gun sounds, we're live.
Hi, I'm Jim Simpson, owner of Simpson Meats. When's the last time you grilled a really good burger or steak? One your friends still talk about. Our goal at Simpson Meats is to make that happen every time you have a cookout. All of our cuts of meats, steaks, burgers, briskets, and pork are always fresh, flavorful, and sustainably sourced. We are family owned, so we know the importance of knowing how and where your food is raised. We have been putting quality first since 1888. Visit our butcher shop off Lovell Road or online at simpsonmeats.com.
Okay, so we really need uniforms and equipment for this season. Can I trust you with that? Cool, I'll just order them online. What? Yeah, I'm gonna hop online and I'm gonna get them ordered. Hold up, that's not a good idea. We shouldn't just spend money on some random online retailer, okay? I mean, it seems pretty convenient. Trust me, it's a terrible idea. Let me simplify this for you. SM Athletics. Okay, how do you pronounce it? SM Athletics? They're the go-to for uniforms and equipment, whether it's for universities, high schools, youth leagues, you name it. So why wouldn't you rather go with professionals who can guide us through the process, design the perfect uniforms, and deliver the best equipment? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. What's the name again? SM Athletics. Right. It's definitely smarter to go with a company that emphasizes customer service, fair pricing, and, of course, excellent products. Exactly. So, yeah, I guess it's settled then. For uniforms and equipment for all sports, it's SM Athletics.
When a dangerous, overgrown, or storm-damaged tree is threatening your home, your car, or your family, don't risk it. Call ECR Total Landscapes, your local tree-cutting experts. From precision tree removal and trimming to emergency storm cleanup, ECR Total Landscapes has the equipment and the experience to get the job done safely and efficiently. Call today to set up your free estimate, 865-384-2012, or just go online to ecrtotallandscapes.com.
Josh Collins at Collins Insurance Agency. At Collins Insurance, we strive to ensure our customers receive better coverage along with bigger savings. Our community is important to us. We want to provide exceptional service to our customers. Anybody can provide great rates, great coverage, but can you also get great service? And hey, don't just take my word for it.
What's up, everybody? Zakai Ziegler here. My family turns to Collins Insurance Agency for the best service, coverage, and price.
So don't just go online and get some random insurance. Experience the Collins Insurance difference.
Like he said, experience the Collins Insurance difference. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. And hey, their Mama Zizi approved. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. Thank you to Josh Collins and Zizi.
One more thing, Tony. Go Vols!
Yeah!
Yeehaw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine, live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today. Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
VIP Play coming soon. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and located in Tennessee to bet.
Chilio here, and you know my friends at Carnes Motor Company started with a dream over a quarter century ago. I met Rob and Brian back when I still had hair, and they were working at a huge dealership in West Knoxville. But they told me back then they wanted to sell cars on their terms, and I wanted to do radio on my terms. Their terms, just like my terms, are ultimately your terms. In both cases, you're the winner. A Car Guru's National Award winner with a 5-star rating on all sites, just like our Vols. Everything about buying a car from Carnes Motor Company is no hassle. They specialize in high-quality pre-owned vehicles between the $5,000 to $25,000 range. And if you need to sell a car, they'll either buy your car or they'll help you sell it. Carnes Motor Company also has a top-notch service department. Therefore, every vehicle is rigorously inspected and serviced prior to delivery. So you're guaranteed to get a quality pre-owned vehicle every time. If you need a place for service, they've got you covered. Come be a part of the Carnes Motor Company family and tell them you heard about it from me. Online at carnesmotor.com, Oak Ridge Highway, 1 mile past the Carnes light. Carnes Motor Company.
From the sunrise over the Smokies to the Saturday cheers at Neyland Stadium, Knoxville isn't just where we live, it's home. But let's be honest, finding your perfect spot in a hot market can feel like a full-time job. Whether you're looking for a Craftsman in 4th and Gill, a family home in Farragut, or a view in South Knox, the market moves fast. You need more than a listing. You need an edge. And that's where I come in, Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty. And I specialize in helping Knoxville buyers win. I don't just find houses, I find the right fit for your budget and your lifestyle. Ready to unlock your front door? Visit nextmovesmokymountains.com or call me at 865-694-5904. That's nextmovesmokymountains.com. And as always, go Vols.
Tony B back with you. We seem to have Matt Dixon. Matt Dixon's it's not in his general purview to give me some basketball, women's basketball stuff, but Matt, the LSU account put something out. And what is it, Matt? What is it there, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have known this guy's name for anything, but apparently LSU's hired the women's assistant from Tennessee.
Hey, Doc Holliday. You can take that and ram it right up your rear end, big boy. He said alarms in Basilio, clueless and rumor-mongering. 100% she fired him. Hey, Doc Holliday, he just got hired at the very top of the sport. Now, I don't know about you. He left yesterday. You owe us an apology, which we won't get from you. Let me bring Marky Boy Griffin in here and your lunchy bunch as we break it down scientifically with him. Griff, first of all, yeoman work by you all year long, brother. Well, next time I see you in the park, I'm going to hug your neck. I'm going to kiss you, and I love you, my brother.
Oh, we'll see about all that. But great to be on the air, Tony, with you guys and the final installation of the lunchy bunch. Looking forward to it. I hope you can hear me okay. Unfortunately, I'm driving.
I can hear you.
Because I do have a day job. So
I can hear you.
Let's do this.
Tony, you're not turning my sound off.
Keep your eyes on the...
Keep it open, please.
Go! Keep your eyes open, Griff. Don't let us distract you. And Griff, I'm super pumped right now because I'm really excited about what's going on with Tennessee basketball. I'm beyond excited. Griff, first of all, how about 3 straight Elite Eights and where Tennessee basketball finds itself right now, which is in the elite of the elite of the elite, Griff. You ever think we'd say it?
No, not at all. And just several years ago, I mean, how many of us were complaining about, Rick Barnes and Mr. March Madness and all the comments about how he didn't fare so well, and quick turnaround. And what I like, and I'm not trying to stick my chest out just for the SEC, but it does feel good in a sense that Tennessee was the premier team this year in the tournament as far as how far they advanced compared to the other teams. Anything that can be a good recruiting tool, and that will be utilized some. As you know, Tony, when your coaches are out there battling in the trenches to land some of these guys besides just throwing money around, because, we could talk about guys transferring just for money, but there's a lot more into that than just the money. I mean, does it play a role? Yes. But and we go back to culture. Does the culture play a role? Does development play a role? Does making your young men become men mean something? Does it matter how well behaved overall that your athletes are off the court, as well as how they hold their head up during a game, during adversity? And I think that's really going to help Tennessee moving forward.
Griff, they are in the process right now, and I want to go through the roster with you guys, and we're going to talk about this, because this is where the sport's so crazy, Griff, that 1 week from today is when the portal opens. 1 week from today is when the portal officially opens. 1 week from Friday is when you can start having visits. Tennessee is so far ahead of the game that they snuck this Lundblad guy in yesterday.
How do you sneak someone in? I don't understand, Tony.
Okay, because he's a graduate transfer. He's a grad. And him being a graduate transfer from Belmont allows them to get him on campus yesterday and hopefully get a deal done. The idea there is we'll show the rest of the world, the college, if it works out with the way they want it to, we will get a deal with a guy, and then show the rest of the market, hey, we got the top shooter in the deal. And then you start building it one by one. That's what they're going to try and do here. And it's going to be really interesting to watch them try and put this thing together. But the portal opens next Tuesday, exactly 1 week from today, on April the 7th. There's a dead period for visits, April 1st through the 9th. However, Tennessee got this kid in because they're on a dead period. But go ahead.
Are you talking to Mark, or are you talking to me?
No, I just think the whole thing's interesting. John, what do you think of? Because I know you got to roll. You got to go write something.
Not write this? I just can stay to one.
Oh yeah,
okay.
I'm staying to one.
Okay.
I'm burned out. Griff, from your perspective, what do you make of when you see Tennessee involved with a guy that's an offense-first kid like this Lundblad guy? Here's the word on him. He can't guard me, but he can flat out shoot the basketball. We unpacked him today on the blog. He looks like Connect, okay, but he's more of a Lanier-type player. He's not the most athletic guy in the world, but he's a world-class shooter. And I mean world-class. William Pattison has something on who follows me today on Fan Run Radio, has something on his Twitter account that we'll go over in a second. This guy, Griff, is 95% from the line.
Jeez.
2 years ago, Griff, he shot the three ball at 48% on 7 threes a game. This year, they put his usage rate up to 9 3 balls a game he shot, and he shot 41%. The word on him is that he gets his shoulder squared at an NBA level. He has an extremely quick release. Berkey was just on here guffawing over his release. And he's a career 95% foul shooter once again. If he gets enough attempts next season, he could leave the sport as the all-time leader for free throw percentage for a career. He's a grad transfer whose coach left to take the Kansas State job, and that's the loophole that allows him to be at Tennessee right now.
How tall is this guy?
Wow.
I don't have it. I have no idea.
What?
He's tall enough to get his shot off. I mean, how the hell do I know?
Well,
You
I
Google?
just wanted
You have
where
Google?
no, I want to fit in. I want to know where he fits
Oh,
in.
he's a two guard.
Okay.
Yeah, he's two guard.
All right.
But Griff,
Well,
what do you?
first of all, thanks to Casey Alexander. That's who you're talking about.
Yep.
Nashville native that moved on to Kansas State, who brought us eventually Gillespie, which, as you know, if you have a half a brain, they're going to spend a lot of time together while this kid's in town talking about comparison of playing in the now Missouri Valley Conference versus coming to the SEC. As far as being a great athlete, if you could shoot a three, you don't have to be a great athlete. You just got to get to the three-point line. You're not having to blow by anybody, Tony. So I'm not concerned about a great athlete. I'll take a great shooting guard percentage-wise I would over a great athlete. I think Tennessee's had enough great athletes that we don't have to get into that couldn't hit a side of a barn. And all you got to do is free this guy up, get a nice screen, back screen, or so on. As long as he's got space, sounds like that's all he needs. And one of the critical components we've talked about all season is the importance of free throw shooting in end of game situations. And you've seen that come into play during the tournament. And that's a kid that will always be on the court at the end of the game. You don't have to substitute him out because it's pretty much going to be 2 points at the free throw line in that situation.
Hey, Matt, when you talk about adding a dynamic, high-usage three-ball shooter that shoots 95% from three-point land, and let me add one more thing. And this comes from William Pattison, who's extremely plugged in, who follows me on Fan Run Radio. And William says the following about this kid's skill set. He says that and he's got a photo from the practice session in a gym in Nashville. William was there. Tennessee transfer portal target and Belmont grad transfer Tyler Lundblade put up 179 three balls in a practice session back in August. He made 174 of those shots at that practice.
Say that again?
He put up 179 three-point shots in a practice that this kid was at. And they were sitting there, they were charting it. He made 174 of them. You think he can shoot the three ball?
He's not a human. He's a robot.
Yeah, you think he can shoot it? And they say that his shoulders get square to the bucket. And, Matt, here's what I've been told. They are dead set on getting him. He can't guard anybody, Matt.
Well, how will Barnes play him
can't
then?
Guard because Rick Barnes has seen the light. I'm going to hide him. We're going to work around it. We're not going to get outscored again. We're not going to get to the round of 8 and not be able to score. And I love it. Matt, your thoughts on that? And Griff, you're chewing or something in the background. If you could mute yourself while you're doing. Hey, Matt, your thoughts on this development here?
No, it'd be a great get, just a knockdown shooter that Tennessee Kaz Lanier kind of was that. So, it's not like that he's gone this offensive approach like just now. Dalton Connect and Lanier were not considered probably even average defenders either. But maybe more so with this one. But no, just that knockdown shooter that can really space the floor and open things up is what this team needed. Every team can use guys like him.
Yes.
So it's just a great get. And Griff brings up a great point about the late game free throw shooting and things like that. It's that guy you can put on the line to close games out. But yeah, a guy that is a well over 40% 3-point shooter with the high volume. Every team that plays basketball would take a guy like that, regardless of how his defense is.
Hey, Griff, Wood Barnes a couple of years ago have been saying things like, we've got to get more offensive. I love this change.
No, not at all.
Okay. No. I think it's incredible.
Not at all. Well, it also shows the changing times.
Yep.
Great coaches make necessary changes, and we've talked about this on your show multiple times about how stubborn college coaches can be. We use the reference of running a zone defense, which how often we see in that in the tournament? Hardly ever. How necessary could it be, or could it really flip the switch? Yes. Is it something you're going to play a huge percent? No. But being able to evolve in a sense that Barnes has shown, and a lot of your elite coaches, just says a lot about moving forward. And one of the key things that they are obviously well of that they struck out this past season is that two guard that could shoot, other than Gillespie, which to me I still consider him more of a two guard. He just had to run the guard, but he was so much more effective when he was on the wing. And they'll be able to hopefully fill that gap with this kid. One thing I'm curious, Tony, I know Casey Alexander very well, and he loves Indiana kids. Can someone just look up where this kid's from? I'm just curious.
Yeah. He walked
Dallas, Texas.
He's a Dallas, Texas kid. He walked on at TCU. He got in the gym at TCU and worked his fingers to the bone to the point where he became attractive to Casey Alexander, who added him as part of a prolific offense he's had the last couple of years. And you know Casey's a hell of a coach, Mark, and has had very good players come through there. You and I had that talk back in January when you helped me with some Cliff's Notes for our presentation with Gillespie that went swimmingly well before the Tennessee Basketball Tip-Off Club. Shout out to those guys for keeping the dream alive with Tennessee Hoops and everything they do for the basketball community here locally. But, Griff, this is exciting stuff. And I've got some idiots in the chat that are acting like morons that are comparing him to people like Tyreek Key, which more power to you. I'm telling you right now, this kid is a kid that Duke has prioritized. That's who they're going to beat for him if they get him. Okay? So you people are imbeciles. Tennessee is getting ready to play.
Kansas State's going to be on him, too. You know Alexander's going to be on him.
Yeah, he's going to be on him.
That would be my concern because Casey can talk about how he brought him over from TCU, helped develop him, and they've got a working relationship. And that one's going to be a tough one. So you can mention Duke, but for me, just since this is all new, I think the biggest competitor, first and foremost, would be Kansas State.
So they're going to get a sharpshooter. Here's the thing, Griff. Bishop Boswell's playing time is going to get cut in half, basically. I mean, let's talk about the rest of the roster now. Because they're getting ready to add a couple guys that are just going to – I think if they do what they're going to do, going to really shake things up. I want to talk about the rest of that roster. Bishop Boswell, and let's start with him. As Marky Mark and the Lunchy Bunch final edition here, we've gone from pillar to post here. I got to give it to Bishop Boswell. I did not think he added in him to be a playable player at this level. Now, he was not a guy that should be on the floor for 30 minutes. That's diminishing returns. If you look up that economics term, my son sees me doing things. He's like, Dad, opportunity cost with the way you're spending your time. He uses all, because he went to Penn and he majored in economics and he uses all these terms. He's like, opportunity cost, look it up.
But Tony,
anyway,
you don't look it up.
In a perfect world, accepts a role where he comes back here and he plays next year and he can be a 10-minute high energy sort of glue guy for them. Just go out there and do Bishop Boswell things. And do you think he'd accept that role, Griff, after getting a taste of starting and playing for 30 minutes?
I didn't know he averaged 30 minutes a game personally.
I don't know how many minutes he averaged, but he averaged a whole lot of minutes.
I think he will accept whatever role Barnes gives him, and he'll give 100 for it. I don't see it depleting to 10 minutes. If anything, maybe 15. Because he's going to improve, work on his game as well. And as we once again talked about on your show, he'll learn how to defend even better versus running side by side by the offensive player. And all the guy's got to do is put his head into Boswell's shoulder, and it's a foul. And you see that every game, which is very frustrating. He'll learn from that. He'll get better. My concern, and I know you're probably going to this, is we better get a point guard.
Yeah, you need a point guard, but you look at Barnes' track record, and that's the best way to project how things will go. He got Zakai Ziegler. He got Gillespie. Now, I realize Gillespie's not your maybe pure point guard, but he managed it okay, and he can shoot, and they needed a shooter in that position because they didn't have it at a two guard. What I wonder about, Mark, is you look at when I watch Michigan and Arizona, it's like they're getting a different kind of player. They got guys that, yeah, they can nail three-pointers, but they also can go to the basket, and they also can play really good defense. I mean, where do you get all these players?
It's incredible. Okay, let's move.
It's a great point. And speaking of Arizona, if you have a longer-term memory, Jaden Bradley was at Alabama and was, a decent player. He was just a decent player and really evolved. Became the conference player of the year, leading them. I was a huge Bishop Boswell fan at Arizona, and then they pretty much kicked him to the curb, and Illinois picked him up, and kind of
the other kid. Yeah,
season kind of went down once Wagler got hot with Illinois, and they put the ball in his hands. But once again, to what you said, John, even with the Boswell, even with the kid from Arizona that transferred to Illinois, really good defender, penetrator, and it will be interesting. As you know, every staff has their big board, and they line these guys up like you see in an NFL draft, and they're like, hey, here's our targeted players. What are their strengths and weaknesses? And who do they think they've got a shot at? Because you can't recruit everybody. You've got limited time.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is through their contacts. He talked about the Lady Vols coach leaving and all the contacts that he has. That's really gonna hurt. And one key about being an experienced coach that Barnes is, he can call these coaches from other conferences and knowing where they are and if they're bringing someone back, what are their issues. A lot of that vetting goes on that we never really hear about, but a lot of vetting goes on when you bring someone into your program.
What's funny about that, Griff, is there's a couple guys who are linked to the Vols that I think they're cooling on for that reason. He's made calls and has learned things about a few guys that just on the front end, buyer beware. And you've got such a compact window here that you've got to do your due diligence, and you can't bring people in that aren't culture people. Barnes is looking for elite players that are also culture or aren't going to make trouble type guys. We've already seen that he's and that's one thing he won't compromise on. He is compromising on the defense, though, I believe. Henderson, guys, is likely gone. I think that's kind of a shame. I thought Troy Henderson, when they gave him a chance to play, looked like a pretty nice young player. Could shoot it a little bit, could play. Matt, that kind of confounds me and is a little bizarre that he got kind of lost in the sauce here.
Yeah, but I think you can sign a freshman point guard that gives you what he does just about every year. Yes. Like he doesn't have some special skill. Maybe he does, maybe he develops, but I think you brought him in largely because he was like a teammate of Ament and AAU. So kind of
team loaded.
Yeah. So I just think you can easily replace a guy like him. Like Griff said, replacing your starting point guard's key. Replacing Akpar and that rim protection is going to be vital.
Yep.
But yeah, the point guard thing is real. You can get all the two guards and shooters you want, but with how Rick Barnes coaches the team, that point guard's got to be pretty dang good, and they got to especially be mentally tough.
They're going to go veteran on the point guard. Want Evans back, but it's going to be very expensive. Griff, would you fight to keep Evans, or would you let him go if it gets real expensive?
I would not let him go. I think he is. To project forward's one of the backbone to the team next year as far as wing players, and if anyone you keep, I think he's the guy.
Matt, you agree with that, and John and Brian Hartman? What do you guys think on Evans?
Absolutely, he flashed plenty. I like his aggressive offensive approach. It's kind of something that's missing with a lot of Barnes players that they bring in. I really like him. Can be a great defender, kind of that Meshack type role. I think maybe with some more offense. Yeah, I'd absolutely bring him back if you can.
Yeah, I would want to bring him back. However, we've talked about development versus ready-made guys.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get to the Final Four,
yeah,
and you're looking at the kind of teams that get to the Final Four, to me, you've got to make a decision. You've got to be able to look at the video and say, this guy is better than the guy I have. And if he's better and he fits your culture, I think you need to take him.
Moving along, and this is all going to happen in short order. Mark, they want Estrella back, but it's going to be super duper expensive to do it, and it's probably going to be start at $1.5 million. Griff, are you playing with Estrella, who's had the injury history at that level? Griff,
yes, bring them back. I mean, there's something to be said about returning players. I mentioned last week Tennessee's opponent in Iowa State.
Yes.
Iowa State had one incoming freshman this season compared to last season when I think they were 25-10. And they had an even better season this year because you have guys that are spending more than 8 months around each other. It says a lot about Iowa State's coach. It says a lot about the players that return. You're not just renting a uniform for a season. So I think you try to bring back a lot of the guys, and to John's credit too, you've got to have depth. I mean, we can try to get stars. That's great, but you got to find guys that fit roles. Other guys have to step up and make sacrifices. I think Estrella would be a great person, obviously, to bring back. And I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't know who his so-called handlers are, but I'm not really concerned about him leaving.
Well, what about Phillips? Do you want him back? He was hurt this year.
He's 100% back.
Okay. Well,
Phillips is back. Brown's back. They're bringing Berg back 100%.
Okay, you're talking about all these players coming back.
Yeah. You got 15 scholarships.
Yeah, I realize that.
Yeah.
But you got to spread this money out.
He won't field 15, though.
No,
you.
That's
he
right.
Will not do that.
That's right, Mark.
Okay, but if you're I'm hearing these names and I'm starting to form you're going to have a point guard.
We understand. Yeah, they're going to add a point. They're going to add a great veteran point guard.
Okay, and then you're going to get the guy from Belmont, your shooting guard.
I think that's right. Yes.
Okay.
And then get a shot blocker. You're good.
And then that's what they're going to do. They're going to add a frontline defender. That's exactly what they're going to do.
And so you will have Estrella and the front line of it.
It all hinges on a home run hitter at point guard. And that, I'm telling you, is what they're working on.
Okay, so do you see Evans starting in this lineup?
I have no idea. I don't know if Evans is here.
Well, if you don't see him starting,
I think Evans
then
and
he
Estrella
should be.
are both flight risks.
Okay. Well,
I mean, this thing is very fluid. I think I wrote today that Evans and Estrella. Evans has had multiple suitors from the Northeast where he's from. He's from the Pittsburgh area that are all over him. But they also have some incoming freshmen coming in that could figure into their mix as well, and we'll go through that. The next guy up is Jalen Carey, who changed minds in the tournament and then had a very interesting thing that he said to the press yesterday, which is, I want to be here next year, and I know that I came in here overweight, and I know that I got in the doghouse early. They think he needs to lose a good 30 pounds so he can get off the floor next year. That's why he couldn't get off the floor. He's playing at
I thought he was out of eligibility.
No, Jalen Carey.
So do you want him back?
Let's go around the room. Mark, do you want him back?
Yes, and I want him to live at Hyper or somewhere shooting free throws all summer.
But they want him to lose a minimum 30 pounds. He played around 290-ish this year, and they need him to cut some weight.
But see, when you're talking about all these things about needs to lose weight, needs to shoot free throws better, needs to be able to jump more.
Yeah.
I mean,
why don't you go get another player?
Why can't you just get another player?
How do you answer that, Mark?
Well, where are they? I mean, if it was that easy, then sure, flip the switch. But it's not that easy because, you're talking about other players that may fit these roles. Well, how many coaches or people are calling them, trying to recruit them as well? And it's tough to flip a program around in a week. I mean, they may not even know. Unfortunately, some of these guys may not even know Coach Barnes, and you're sitting there trying to get to know someone in a week.
Oh, I know it's
trust them.
Oh, I know
it's
it's
tough.
I think I think the guys that are on, they've been on for several months. But to your point, if you get a curveball and all of a sudden either you keep a guy or you flip a guy, like say a guy leaves a roster they don't know is going to leave. I don't know, Phillips. Let me just throw a name out there. All of a sudden, you got to go replace that person. Or like last year, when you've got a guy from Virginia that you've been talking to for a couple of months, and you know he's coming. I remember talking to Griff about that last year when they got involved with him, like way before the fact. And Griff goes, I love that guy. Griff goes, I love that guy. And then they didn't have his major. Like, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This kid wants to go to school in the transfer portal era. I mean, you want to work on your graduate degree? We didn't see that coming. So all of a sudden, now and we saw that last year. You can do all your due diligence. All it takes is one piece to slip, and then you're off your footing.
Okay, but what you're saying, you want to get to the Final Four.
Yeah.
So you need to get a post player as good as Felix Okpara was.
They're involved with a couple killer players.
Okay. Get a point guard as good as
Jacoby
Gillespie.
They're involved with somebody better.
Who can both score and run
better.
Okay. All right, fine. You get those two. All right, but then, and you get the shooter from Vanderbilt.
Yes.
So
from Belmont.
Belmont, I'm sorry.
Belmont.
Yeah. Okay, Mark. So where do you is that enough right there? Does that get you to the Final Four?
Well, I don't know. I don't.
With what you have coming back with Evans, and if Carey comes back and Phillips comes back,
and then you're going to
Boswell.
Here's what you're going to add. You're going to add Marquise Clark to that, who's a freshman point guard out of Chicago, who's kind of a wild card. He was a 3-star kid, but they think he's going to be. They think he's very tough. They think he's ZZ-esque in terms of the whole big city toughness thing. Maybe he could spell somebody at a backup point guard. I'm just looking at the way the roster's going to be constructed. Manny Green was a top 100 combo forward out of the Atlanta area, sort of a bigger version of Evans, which might be why they don't get into a bidding war with Evans if the Northeastern schools come a-calling. Ralph Scott, number 35 overall recruit from Bermuda, an Ament-type player without the high stuff right away, but kind of could get there, could grow into being a very good player. They think he's in the NBA in a couple of years, this Ralph Scott guy. Can really shoot it from the outside. But portal targets, we already talked about the Lundblom guy, Lundblade. God, I'm
just calling the former Belmont player.
Yeah, the Belmont kid. They also, Mark, are involved with Rodney Rice, who's not in the portal yet, but probably going to be. Look, in a perfect world, you add him, you add this Lundblade guy, and let's go play basketball.
So tell me where Rodney Rice ended up. Wasn't he at Maryland? And then where'd he go?
He was at Maryland, and then Tennessee thought they had him last year, and USC bought him for like $3 million. Here's the problem with Rodney Rice. This is what's going to make Tennessee hesitate and other schools hesitate to offer him big money. He hurt himself in November. He's not in the portal yet, but probably going to be a top priority for anybody. He won't be a full go with his injury status until the summer, or maybe even fall practice because of his injury status. But if you get him, the Vols could create a 2-year window here with the Phillipses, the Estrella, the guys that are returning. They could create a 2-year window here. And also Rodney Rice. You could have a bunch of returners who create a 2-year window of base players, because in a perfect world, if you could agree with Rodney Rice, you could grab him for 2 years.
What does Rodney Rice give you?
He's a shooter. Mark, you saw him at Maryland. You like him, right, Mark?
I like him, but I'm a little hesitant because he had an opportunity to come to Tennessee. and then bolted. Now you can say, well, it was money, but not everything's money. Maybe some of it was, maybe a lot of it was.
Yes.
But when you have the opportunity to come, you turn it down, and then you're knocking on that door again. It looks like you're begging, please come this year. Well, it came last year. I think for that matter, you have that window to play for the orange and white. You take advantage of it. You choose to go elsewhere, take advantage of it. But now he's back in the portal again. It just doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right to me, guys.
Matt, where are you on Rodney Rice?
No, I kind of lean Griff's way. It goes back to that culture and kind of, that vetting process that you have. It feels like with Rodney Rice and with the guy continuing to jump around, which, no fault of his, it's what the sport is now. I just think you can find guys similar to him that fit into the culture in the locker room a little bit better. I kind of agree with Griff that's kind of a weird deal to keep chasing a guy for 2 years.
The thought is that he probably ends up in Maryland anyway because they're really under pressure. Buzz is. Maryland's very provincial. If you've ever been up to Maryland, I did a lot of business there back in the day, 10, 15 years ago. They always ask you what high school you went to.
You did business in Maryland?
Yeah. I was doing infomercials in the orthopedic industry. And
really?
Yeah, we had our own business. It was great till the contract ran out. But Rodney Rice, up there, they always ask you, where'd you go to high school? It's like a big deal. And they want local players on their team. It's an odd... Anyway. Okay, Joel Foxwell.
Well, Tony, we do that here. I mean, where did I not ask where he went to high school? I don't get that because every day I meet someone and I find out where they're from. Let's say they're from, I don't know, Johnson City. Where'd you go to high school? Yeah. It's a normal next question. Maybe not in your world. But.
Joel Foxwell. Joel Foxwell from Portland is the next guy on the mic. 4 teams are involved with him. He's a point guard. He's a European player. He's originally from Australia, but he's a European-style player. He plays a lot of flash. He's like a Vescovy guy. I call these guys like those Euro-type guards that you see in the European ball. He could make a pass, but let's flip it behind my back. I could make the drive, but let's dribble ball between my legs or behind my back. He's an excellent offensive player. He cannot move his feet on defense. So, but he's a 2-year guy. Again, Tennessee, if you're thinking, create the 2-year window, they're heavily involved with Joel Foxwell. Other teams.
Where's he play, Tony? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
He's from Portland, University of Portland. He was excellent. He had an excellent year there.
An immediate red flag comes up now. Belmont kid deficient in defense. This kid from Portland deficient in defense. You got 2 guys that can't play defense. I don't care how well you shoot. You're not going to win. So I think that's one where you really got to weigh. If you can get one or the other, then you move on to the next player because that's not Barnes. He will not put 2 deficient defenders on the court at one time. I don't think that's ever happened.
Joel Foxwell is being recruited by Tennessee, the Zags, Wisconsin, Oregon. Matt, I told you about this kid a couple weeks back. Have you looked into him at all? Have you had a chance to look at this kid, Matt?
Just some of his numbers. I don't watch film on guys.
What do you think of him? Yeah, what do you think of him, Matt, when you look at his numbers?
He won't be doing the behind the back passes more than about two practices with Barnes. I mean, we saw Vescovy do that for about 2 games, and that was the end of that.
Flashy, and they got the flash out of his game. Yeah, he was so fun when they first came off the boat. That first game when he had I call it off the boat, when he had first, like my people, like when they come off the boat, and he comes through
Ellis. 6 threes versus LSU.
Yeah, there you go. And remember, John, he was throwing it behind his back, and they got that out of his game to the point where at the end of his game, he was wrecked.
Yeah. The one thing I think is intriguing about guys like him, and you can't get all these, but the multi-year transfer guys that you can have for at least 2 years, I think are really valuable because you see guys that they come in like kind of like Carey. Rick Barnes has that very high standard of toughness and defense that a lot of guys, even if they're willing to play it, it takes them a while to adjust to it and get comfortable playing it. So when you can get the multi-year guys, I'm always in favor of that because I think there's a big jump in year 2 with a lot of them once they totally buy in.
When you talk about Rick Barnes, we're talking about him being more prone toward offense now. He realizes he's got to get offense. It's one thing to procure these players. Once you get into this season and you realize you have a player out there who's a great shooter, great three-point shooter, but he can't guard that well, you can't hound him that much about his lack of defense. He is what he is.
No, you know what he is. That's right.
You have to accept that he will give.
Deal.
You will have to accept that he's going to have defensive lapses, but then he'll make it up by hitting a 25-footer for you.
What's the connect factor? We all knew coming in couldn't guard anything.
Was he that?
He got better, but like you said, John, and what your son told you, Tony, it's opportunity cost. You give up the D to get the O.
That's right.
Now, the big difference, the O was a lot more important to what Tennessee needed at the time than to shut down an offensive player maybe 3 or 4 possessions because you're going to get help. That's one thing about we're talking about someone being a weak defender. Well, how weak are you? If you're going to get beat in the game of basketball, you have help side defense, help and recover. Unless you are just a big stiff and can't move at all, then you can make it happen.
Well, what about some of these guys are so talented offensively. When I look at the NBA, the talent level just keeps going up.
Yes.
That there are some guys, even though you have a great defender on them, you can't keep them out of the they're going to score 20, 25 points.
That's why we're talking about moving the line way back and at that level. But here's the thing.
But at the college level.
That's what Barnes is doing. We need to get some players in here that are skilled. These kids are so good now at shooting 3-ball. See, Griff, the thing these kids did that we didn't do when we were kids is they grew up with that 3-point line. So the first thing you do when you're a young kid in developmental basketball is you shoot the ball from behind the 3-point line. You go to any middle school basketball game, I don't care if they're white kids, I don't care what color they are. I don't care if it's a bunch of Italian kids out there. They can't jump at all and can't play basketball. They're going to gravitate to that 3-point line and shoot the basketball. Shoot the ball. Now, half of them can't make it.
What's funny, Tony, it's a great point. I remember back in the day, there was a Larry Bird video about how he warmed up.
Yep.
And he would start with one hand, like 3 feet or right underneath the basket, take steps back, work his way backwards to the free throw line, and then just kept working his way back. But you were exactly spot on. Even travel basketball, middle school games, you go watch kids warm up. Where they go?
First thing.
3-point line. They want to show their buddies they can nail a 3, and they haven't taken one shot, but yet they're jacking up threes. So that's a great point.
And, John, because most like proficient guitar players, I don't want to bore anybody, but they play scales. Like you'll watch these guys. Guys that want to show off that like play out live, they'll play some crazy like lead, and you're going, why don't you just warm your fingers up? I mean, but that's the point though, John. They're so efficient now at shooting. All the big guys can even shoot the 3. Look at Akpara this year when he shot the 3. I mean, he can make a 3-point shot. Like, huh? And so the point is he grew up shooting them. Money Williams is another guy Tennessee's involved with from Montana. Now, you guys might remember Money. He's got a sister, Monet.
Yes.
The mother passed away, or they had some kind of family tragedy. And after he played here, our fan base made it rain on him. With what do you call that thing, guys? Where the crowdfunding thing? What's the site called?
GoFundMe?
Yeah, with a GoFundMe. And he caught the eye of us. Anyway, Washington is in there strong with him. But this is another offense guy that I'm telling you right now, Tennessee, Mark, 3 years ago would not have looked at this guy. They're looking at him now. They would never have gotten involved with this guy 3 years ago, Mark.
So how many people do you think Tennessee might add in the portal? All these names here, what if they can get all of them? Do they take them and get rid of guys?
I don't know, but I'm glad you asked that because at the very least, they need one frontline point guard. I'm talking about a knockout 5-star guy. It's a number 1 priority. I'm talking about all eggs in a basket, go for it. They're going to take at least 2 shooting guards, maybe more depending on who leaves, but at least 2 shooting guards. They're going to take a bona fide starter at the big man. And then if they get who they want to get, the plan is to build from there. So to John's point, there's a couple of, let's say we get who we want to get on the front end. Then I get my boosters really excited because we're close to the finish line. And I go back and I say, hey, we need $3 million for this. We need $2.5 million for this. I know it's sickening in a way, but that's where the sport is. And it's exactly what Michigan did last year. It's exactly what they did. And then you build,
well, you know, it's funny, Tony, about Michigan, if I could just jump in real quick.
Yes.
When you talk about transfer portal, Dusty May and his predecessor, even before that, you look at where their guys transferred. Besides Lindenberg, who went to UAB, which is not a P4 school, they grabbed guys from major programs. And it's interesting because they switched from a UCLA, the Mara kid, to Michigan, and Merez Johnson, Illinois, to Michigan within the same conference of all things. So
North Carolina's point guard, Griff. North Carolina's point guard. To your point, you're right.
Oh, Cadeau.
Yeah.
Cadeau. That's right.
So Michigan just went out and said, we're going to get everybody we want.
What Tennessee's trying to do.
Well,
I'm just telling. I don't know if it's all going to come to pass. I have no. But after the fact, I'll give you the names. If they swing and miss with them, I'll give you the names of who they're trying to go after. I'm not going to do it right now.
Put that in your blog, too. Put it in your blog so we can all keep up.
Well, today's blog has 2,000. Today's blog has 2,000 words on this, and I'd encourage anybody to go look at it because the conclusion is this: we're 1 week out from the madness, after the madness, and Tennessee figures to be much more in the middle of the top tier than in years past. They're going to be right in the middle of the top tier. And if they execute their plan, they could land several what you could consider top tier 1 type recruits. And it's going to be really crazy. It's going to be a wild 2.5 weeks. John, can you imagine the free agency period when it begins next Tuesday? And then there are no visits till Friday. So you're going to see a bunch of guys go into the portal that you've talked into the portal. And then you want to get the first visit with them, get them on your campus. And in a perfect world, we hear that this Lundblade guy, or whatever his name is, I can't remember his name, but he commits. And then from there, well, let me do this. I got to get a brief timeout. We'll come back and continue with more with the Lunchy Bunch. It's a great discussion on hoops. This is going to be an amazing time to be a Tennessee basketball fan.
It's the hottest postgame show on the planet. Garza Law, 5th quarter fan reaction. Fan reaction. As soon as the final gun sounds, we're live.
Hi, I'm Jim Simpson, owner of Simpson Meats. When's the last time you grilled a really good burger or steak? One your friends still talk about. Our goal at Simpson Meats is to make that happen every time you have a cookout. All of our cuts of meats, steaks, burgers, briskets, and pork are always fresh, flavorful, and sustainably sourced. We are family owned, so we know the importance of knowing how and where your food is raised. We have been putting quality first since 1888. Visit our butcher shop off Lovell Road or online at simpsonmeats.com.
Okay, so we really need uniforms and equipment for this season. Can I trust you with that? Cool, I'll just order them online. What? Yeah, I'm gonna hop online and I'm gonna get them ordered. Hold up, that's not a good idea. We shouldn't just spend money on some random online retailer, okay? I mean, it seems pretty convenient. Trust me, it's a terrible idea. Let me simplify this for you. SM Athletics. Okay, how do you pronounce it? SM Athletics? They're the go-to for uniforms and equipment, whether it's for universities, high schools, youth leagues, you name it. So why wouldn't you rather go with professionals who can guide us through the process, design the perfect uniforms, and deliver the best equipment? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. What's the name again? SM Athletics. Right. It's definitely smarter to go with a company that emphasizes customer service, fair pricing, and, of course, excellent products. Exactly. So, yeah, I guess it's settled then. For uniforms and equipment for all sports, it's SM Athletics.
When a dangerous, overgrown, or storm-damaged tree is threatening your home, your car, or your family, don't risk it. Call ECR Total Landscapes, your local tree-cutting experts. From precision tree removal and trimming to emergency storm cleanup, ECR Total Landscapes has the equipment and the experience to get the job done safely and efficiently. Call today to set up your free estimate, 865-384-2012, or just go online to ecrtotallandscapes.com.
Josh Collins at Collins Insurance Agency. At Collins Insurance, we strive to ensure our customers receive better coverage along with bigger savings. Our community is important to us. We want to provide exceptional service to our customers. Anybody can provide great rates, great coverage, but can you also get great service? And hey, don't just take my word for it.
What's up, everybody? Zakai Ziegler here. My family turns to Collins Insurance Agency for the best service, coverage, and price.
So don't just go online and get some random insurance. Experience the Collins Insurance difference.
Like he said, experience the Collins Insurance difference. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. And hey, their Mama Zizi approved. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. Thank you to Josh Collins and Zizi.
One more thing, Tony. Go Vols!
Yee-haw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine. Live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today. Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
VIP Play coming soon. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and located in Tennessee to bet.
Basilio here, and you know my friends at Carnes Motor Company started with a dream over a quarter century ago. I met Rob and Brian back when I still had hair, and they were working at a huge dealership in West Knoxville. But they told me back then they wanted to sell cars on their terms, and I wanted to do radio on my terms. Their terms, just like my terms, are ultimately your terms. In both cases, you're the winner. A Car Guru's National Award winner with a 5-star rating on all sites, just like our Vols. Everything about buying a car from Carnes Motor Company is no hassle. They specialize in high-quality pre-owned vehicles between the $5,000 to $25,000 range. And if you need to sell a car, they'll either buy your car or they'll help you sell it. Carnes Motor Company also has a top-notch service department. Therefore, every vehicle is rigorously inspected and serviced prior to delivery. So you're guaranteed to get a quality pre-owned vehicle every time. If you need a place for service, they've got you covered. Come be a part of the Carnes Motor Company family and tell them you heard about it from me. Online at carnesmotor.com. Oak Ridge Highway, 1 mile past the Carnes Light. Carnes Motor Company.
From the sunrise over the Smokies to the Saturday cheers at Neyland Stadium, Knoxville isn't just where we live, it's home. But let's be honest, finding your perfect spot in a hot market can feel like a full-time job. Whether you're looking for a Craftsman in 4th and Gill, a family home in Farragut, or a view in South Knox, the market moves fast. You need more than a listing. You need an edge. And that's where I come in, Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty. And I specialize in helping Knoxville buyers win. I don't just find houses, I find the right fit for your budget and your lifestyle. Ready to unlock your front door? Visit nextmovesmokymountains.com or call me at 865-694-5904. That's nextmovesmokymountains.com. And as always, go Vols.
The great William Pattison, who we were referencing earlier in that tweet he put out regarding this Lundblade. I got
the Belmont kid.
Yeah, if we're gonna get this kid, I need to learn his damn name, Tony. But my alleged mind isn't functioning as it should be today. I apologize for that.
It has to do with the sinus thing.
Woo! All right, we're gonna go.
Issue.
We're gonna go to the phones. There are no calls. We're not gonna take any phone calls. We're gonna go to our overtime segment here momentarily. I want to pivot though because Tennessee now has an assistant opening on their staff, and it's the top position. And Barnes is looking for something in particular with a top position. We're reporting today over on the blog at tclub.team where there's a couple thousand words, and it's a pretty good write-up today. And Matt does a really excellent job as well unpacking
what was a really bizarre weekend for the baseball team. But what an odd, crazy time. Rick Barnes is totally offensive. Tennessee basketball is literally existing at the tippy top of its sport. Kim Caldwell is spinning a narrative, and it's worked with her athletic director. Meanwhile, the coach that she allegedly let go yesterday, who did quit, by the way. John, do you think the guy got let go or he quit?
Oh, no, he resigned.
Yeah. She's spinning it. He immediately got hired by Kim Mulkey, who is literally probably in this league, if she's not the best at what she does, she's probably in the top 3. And she ain't going to bring somebody into her deal who's going to undermine her. So that is comical. And
hey, Tony, can you imagine athletic director meeting with coaches at LSU? You've got Will Wade, Kim Mulkey, Lane Kiffin, the baseball coach. How well do you think that goes? How organized and how do they stay on time?
Well, if you've seen that guy at a press conference, that new AD they have, the coaches are going to win when they get across from him because he is what we call in my neighborhood a Stoojaween. And by the way,
what?
A Stoojaween. And
A
by the way,
Stoojaween.
the playbook with William Patterson's on the way next. I want to talk some more about hoops. We love you. The lunch. I almost called it the Lunchy Bunch continues.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Tony, tell John Adams you have a listener that grew up with Hap Glaudy, Bud Monet, Sam King.
It's Bud Montet.
And the old Beachcomber. And John Adams.
Bob Scarce. Yeah, the old Beachcomber.
Who are these people?
He was an outdoors guy and did some weather, I think. Yeah, I actually knew his son as well. Sam King was a great sports writer, columnist.
What?
Yeah.
This guy really knows these people in the chat?
Well, I guess he does.
He super chatted us.
Well, anyway, so Sam's a good friend. It's my ex-father-in-law. We worked together. He was on the afternoon paper. Back then we had 2 papers. He's on the I was on the morning paper. He was on the afternoon paper. So, yeah, really, really talented guy and had a long career. He's retired now. Hap Glaudy he was on that WWL in New Orleans, that big station.
Oh.
And he did a talk show before anybody else did.
I love those days, man.
And Bud Montet was sports editor of the Morning Advocate in Baton Rouge for about 30 years and knew every stat and everybody involved in every youth league baseball team and every high school coach and was really good at his job. I was in fact, the old Beachcomber, Mike, because his son was in my age bracket and some really good friends of mine. I knew him, but they were really close to him. They just called him Comer.
Hey, Griff, so shout out to Rodney Kraft today, who shared that with us. Tennessee's got an opening. Your thoughts, Griff, on Gainey getting the
Is that Bobby Kraft's son? Okay, never mind.
Your thoughts on or Aaron Kraft? Your thoughts on
Kevin Kraft, the UCLA quarterback that beat Tennessee in 2008.
Wow, that's crazy. You have that Kevin Kraft. Matt, do you have a Kraft you'd like to enter? And Brian, do you guys have Krafts you want to enter into the discussion?
Aaron Kraft.
Aaron Kraft. All right, Brian, Matt, do you have a Kraft?
No, I'm good there.
Crafty left-hander.
Yep. Okay. Griff, your thoughts on the fact that we have an opening now. What do you make of the hire that NC State just made? You think it's a good hire?
Oh, yeah, I do. I'm really excited for Coach Gainey. I think it's time. He's paid his dues. Now you're seeing programs go into coaches that haven't had head coaching experience. But it says a lot. He's from the area, played there.
Yep.
It's home. Great timing. I think it's great timing for Barnes as well because he has another one of his coaches pretty much graduate and move on. I think he's gained as much as he can at Tennessee, and timing's just really great with the Will Wade departure. I'm going to be cheering on NC State for the first time in my life. Now that he's there, I think it's an opportune time outside of Duke, in Shire and what's going on in that conference. I think he could have some early success. I really do. I wish the best for him.
And shout out to Will C. Wade, that's what we now call Will Wade, shaped like the human C. All right, so.
Or we'll see you, Wade. See you later.
We'll see you, Wade. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, so Rick Barnes in this replacement. Ironically enough, Matt McMahon's one of the guys that they're going to consider and Kim English is a guy that they would love to have back, I think, but I don't know that he wants to do it right now. I don't know the timing's there, or needs to hold out for a head coaching job. I don't know, but that's just kind of.
Where is he?
He just got fired by Providence. So I understand that Rick Barnes wants a former D1 head coach, Mark, in that spot. Can you walk me through why you think that he's thinking this way?
Well, you've got someone who is pretty much like-minded at the helm. You can get guys with big names, have thick black books of contacts of people they've recruited. We talked about that, or y'all talked about that with the former Lady Vols coach. But when you look down your bench and you're getting ready to call a timeout and you see that coach with head coaching experience, I think that it gives him even more confidence knowing that they've been in that role and knowing Coach Barnes will have someone that, has had success in that role in some area. And it may not even be coaching record, because let's face it, if you had a great head coaching record, you wouldn't be sitting on the bench as an assistant coach, but just someone that has that knowledge base that he can work with, that's not going to be a yes person, but is able to give their feedback. And I look, even Brian Lentz, the assistant coach that's not been a head coach, he's kind of been his guy. He's his left-hand man because he sits by him on the left side, and they converse the entire game. He seems to converse more with him than any of his coaches in game. And it'll be interesting to see if Lentz moves to the right side or if this new coach comes in and sits to the right, and how much time Coach Barnes allocates for either coach. But I think it's a great move. We'll see what happens. A lot of coaches are going to want to come here, and it's a great move.
Matt, one of the things I hear is that Barnes doesn't want to. He doesn't want to deal with the parents. You got to fend off the agents now. Guys not getting enough playing time. That's what this is. I mean, people don't realize this. Coaches will say to parents, "Look, I don't want to talk to you about playing time," but parents are invariably still going to bitch about it. We're all humans. You're not playing my son enough. 100% of these people believe their kid's going to play in the NBA one day. It's just the way it is.
But a head coach shouldn't even he shouldn't even discuss that.
Well, but you still have to be, especially with the transfer portal. Back in the day, you tell a parent, get the hell out of my office, because you had them once they signed the letter of intent. These days, you have to stay in communication with them. But my understanding, Matt, is that Barnes, that isn't his bag. He doesn't want to do that, and he delegates that. Your thoughts?
Well, as he probably should, and that's one of the reasons I think he's kind of continues to coach and has outlasted a lot of his peers and kind of thrived in this era, is he doesn't deal with all that and let somebody else handle it. He's got the kind of pedigree that he can make hires of people who he can delegate that stuff to. So I like it. I like that he can do that. So it's a good move on his part. So, and we had kind of talked about this maybe off air, Tone, about in the past, how Barnes constantly is flipping his coaching staffs because they get head coaching jobs. And outside of Rob Lanier, he very rarely kind of brings somebody back. He's always kind of expanding that pool, which I've always found interesting, that he doesn't kind of bring back guys a lot of times. I'm not sure what that is, but he still makes it work. But it's interesting that, with Kim English, whether he comes back or not, but Barnes rarely does that outside of Rob Lanier.
Griff, what say you on that front? Matt says he's got this expanded Rolodex thing.
I think it's a great point. I think, too, sometimes you just want new voices. You want to help people where they are and get them to another point. Would I like to see Kim English come back? Sure. There are a lot of positives, but, we don't know what's going on in his coaching life, personal life.
That's right.
Is Dennis Gates at Missouri calling him? Maybe there's a position at Missouri. He played at Missouri. I mean, would he come to Tennessee versus a Missouri offer? I think he would take a Missouri offer 9 times out of 10 because he played there, and maybe he wants to, build something mid-major in Missouri to maybe take on a Missouri job down the road. You just never know. One thing you do know is a lot of these coaches, once you get in that coaching fraternity, you got a lot of options.
And you got to make sure you hire somebody that won't undermine you too.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're not trying to be funny either.
I was trying to be funny.
The thing about Matt McMahon, guys.
Impossible. Barnes. That's not going to happen to Barnes.
The thing about Matt McMahon is that I think Barnes appreciates the person he is, from what I understand, and so they're going to consider him. Maybe they pick up.
And one thing about that coach, McMahon, he's from Oak Ridge. He was a GA, one of his first jobs. And I think it was 2000, 2001. He was a GA. So he's been there.
Yep.
Character guy.
Character guy.
I mean, I was really supporting LSU this season just because of his character and how tough at times he went. Now, of course, LSU fans will, and any team that's losing, they'll say they don't have NIL money. I just don't buy that. I mean, you got guys make the effort, and you either execute or you don't. Doesn't matter how fat your pocket is. He faced some tough times at LSU. Would love to see him on staff. I don't know who else they're looking at. It'd be interesting to know a list. But I think you couldn't go wrong with the coach from LSU.
You can't, Mark. You can't. Somebody might not be a really good head coach, but might be a great assistant coach.
Happens every day.
They're different roles.
Yeah, it happens every day. It happens.
Well, and think about this too. It's like, I hate to use a baseball analogy, but some of your best baseball coaches were not your best players; they were catchers. So it's. I think it's true. You could have certain head coaches just don't do well for whatever reason, but there are excellent assistant coaches, and in today's financial world, you can land really good jobs as assistants now anywhere in the country and make a really good living if that is part of the equation. Nothing to be ashamed of. As a matter of fact, if you look just in the SEC of assistant coaches, it'd be curious how many of them were former head coaches at some level.
By the way, Matt McMahon made a terrible mistake taking that LSU job when he took it, because it literally is behind women's gymnastics down there. Now, it won't be because of Will Wade, because they hire him. They're going to pump him full of money, and they're going to pump him up. But I'm talking about him taking the job. He was 5th, maybe 6th on the totem pole when you look at
baseball,
where they were.
Gymnastics, women's
People
basketball.
might laugh at that, right? I'm being serious.
No.
Football's one.
Yeah.
What's 2 there?
Gosh, now it's probably women's basketball.
Baseball.
It's baseball. Yeah, definitely baseball. Then women's basketball and then gymnastics. That's 4.
And then 5 was Matt McMahon down there. So that's a you ain't winning in that job. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you recruit. You're not going to win.
But they're going to throw.
They're going to throw money at
Will Wade is really good with the financial supporters. Even when they weren't supposed to be financially supported.
Exactly. Will C. Wade knows how to operate. Okay, boys, any final thoughts? Griff, you've been
another thing too on Wade outside the financial. Remember, he revived his career where? McNeese State.
Yeah.
So he has built up some relationships down in the Louisiana area. If in fact he tries to recruit, when you're looking at the rare high school player here or two, he'll have those contacts.
The great basketball coaches are also great politicians.
That's a great point.
That know how to work people. And that is a great point, Mark. You're exactly right.
Yeah, he knows how to do that. I remember watching him at McNeese when they were in the NCAA tournament last year. After the game, who's he over there? He's over there talking to these guys.
The boosters.
They just look like boosters. Yeah.
And they made it, and they knew he was leaving. And they weren't like, we hate you.
No.
They were like, hey, we appreciate that we had this opportunity.
Sure.
And he's like, hey, I appreciate you guys help me buy players so we can all this opportunity.
They made the tournament
together.
again this year.
There you go.
Yeah. That's final words.
I saw him at the SEC. I saw him at the SEC tournament when he didn't even have a job in Nashville. He's making the rounds there, always networking.
There you go. I think Mark Griffith would make a really good assistant coach.
I think Griff has enough sense to stay the hell out of that stuff.
You don't know, John, one thing, I would never sleep because when you're dealing with 18 to 21-year-olds and it's just, I get a little too involved. The good thing for me, I've learned how to somehow balance work life. Those coaches don't have work life balance. No. It's just not a part of the job. And if you do have really good work life balance, you're not going to be employed long.
When I'm playing, hey Griff, when I'm playing music in the park, I'd see Gainey walk by with his lovely wife, and he would look so exhausted. Like those people pour them, and you know a coach's eyes like at the end of the year. You know what I mean, John? Like how it just wears on them. That's a tough gig. And if you're losing, that can't be fun. And if you're in the middle of Kim Caldwell's apparatus, that really can't be fun. But any final thoughts, guys, on the way out? And, Bri, you put a hell of a show together today, man. That was a hell of a program right there, big boy. Brino?
I'm sorry I was so wordy today.
Say?
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
Brian, I forgot that Brian was on this show, Tony.
Bri put the show together.
Well, he did an excellent job, and I don't think you should wait till the very end of the show to commend him for the job he did.
I got to see how it turns out. If it's a train wreck, I can blame him for it.
Good point.
Thank you. Any final thoughts from you clowns? Hey, Matt? I want to know right now, what's your concern level about baseball? 1 to 10 scale right now, Matt, on the way out here.
With this team, probably like a 4, but like long-term under Elander, still probably about a 2.
How about that?
Big 4-game homestand this week. I'll probably talk about it a lot on Thursday, but it would really be fun to pack the park for LSU this weekend. I know weather's kind of looking a little bit dicey the more it updates.
That sucks.
It'd be a lot of fun to pack that thing and have the first kind of real renovated Lindsey Nelson experience this weekend.
And by the way, Friday's game with Good Friday starts early.
What's the
5:30 Eastern time first pitch, which is interesting. Back to the Phone said no phones today. Yeah, Back to the Phones, no phones today. Bri, did you miss not going to the phones, Bri, as producer of the show? Did you miss that today, Bri?
Oh, I really missed it. Badly.
Gosh, that sounds a little sarcastic.
I mean,
to
he's
me.
got, it's kind of like when you said you don't want to bring somebody in that undermines you. And I said, oh, that's a good point. And you said, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because nobody brings in assistant coaches that
undermine.
Yeah, it's just, Yeah. It's just.
Hey, Tony.
Will Gabe Lazo be there Friday? Somebody wants to know with LSU stuff on, since he still lives in our community.
He's probably already moved to Baton Rouge. He's out on the recruiting trail. He's headed for the Final Four. He's probably talking to Olivia Edwards at signee.
on the way out, in all your days, have you ever seen anything like this Kim Caldwell thing? The stuff we hear.
I've never seen what's like this going on in a program where you literally could lose an entire roster.
Griff, you ever heard of it? What this thing has happened here? I don't know how this has happened, but men's basketball is at the very top of the sport, and the women are where the men used to be.
And I think it's going to just become easier to recruit against her because, once again, this hockey style does not work. If I'm talking to any recruit and I'm like, hey, you want to go to UT, play 2 minutes, run up and down the court 3 times, pull you out, you didn't even do anything wrong, or you can come here and we'll let you earn your minutes and play.
And you said that, Griff, on the front end, and I think that's the more I think about it, the problem with her when you're dogmatic like she is you get like a Talasha Cooper. Again, I'm fine with this year. You make a deal with the devil when you bring her in because you're going to put up with all her nonsense. But she's an incredible, great offensive player.
She was already on the roster, though.
Okay. But anyway, when you keep her, or the kid from UCLA, some of these wildly offensive, skilled players that are kind of a headache.
You've got to...
You play them.
You got to make them work.
You play them you play them till the wheels fall off. You don't take those people off the floor. Brian and I were watching, and I called them in the third quarter. They were in that NCAA tournament game, and they're making a run, and she can't wait to get them out of the game and get through their line change. I'm going, what the hell are you doing, lady? That's never going to work. You're in an NCAA tournament game. The other person's not going to pull their best 5 players off the court.
Tony?
Yeah.
You need to learn how to say goodbye. You said you were going to end the show at 1:10.
Yeah. Griff, I love you. John, I love you. Thanks, guys.
Love you guys. Enjoyed it. Thanks, guys, for this lunchy bunch group.
You have
this
no
season.
idea.
Can't wait to do it again next season.
You have no idea,
With a
Griff.
sponsor, Tony, for you.
With a sponsor. Griff, love you.
For you. All right. Love you guys. See
you guys.
Do you like Griff's stone breaking that he does with me? Yes.
Well, yeah, everybody does that with you, though.
But he really knows how to go for it.
I thought Chris Burke was pretty good at it, too.
Yeah. Burke got the sinus infection thing in there. Burke, if you're still listening, you, no offense, and I love you, Berkey, but I don't know if you could have been more sheepy today. Matt Diskin, are you still there? I thought that Berkey today.
For some reason, I'm always here.
I thought Berkey was really sheepy today. Did you?
Well, that balances it out. I remember like 22 and 23, he was referred to as Commodore Crisp by some of our listeners.
Do you like our listeners how they don't understand that he's doing the game across the SEC and they rip him on Twitter? A guy who literally whose name belongs on the wall in the outfield and who loves – you know the guy personally, okay? Will you speak to how much he loves our sports teams here? Speak to it. Just go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll give you the floor. Go ahead.
He literally during the interview today, he was talking about how him and his sons were breaking down film of the Belmont recruit because he was on campus.
Thank you.
I mean, if that doesn't tell you enough, then I don't know what does.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, me and my sons were sitting there watching this guy's release. I'm like, really? I wasn't watching his release, and I do this for a living.
I mean, you didn't go to the phones at all today, but you did yell at him, so that kind of makes up for it. You were yelling with your guests as if he were calling.
Well, he and I were trading barbs, and I'm like, I'm like, listen, that thing where you give up an out to gain a run, I don't care. I don't care if you're playing baseball on the damn Arctic Circle. That's an indefensible thing they did Friday night. I'm sorry. I don't care. And obviously, Elander's a great recruiter, and he's a great salesman because he sold Chris on what he did. But there's no... Matt, there are just some things in that sport you can't do, and that's one of them.
It was an odd thing to do. Again, it's time and place. The situation kind of called for it. And they have done that a few times this year, and it's worked out where they score the run and don't give up the out.
Yep.
If Andy had thrown it down the second, or if you get in a rundown and throw the ball away, I don't have a huge problem with it in a low-scoring game like that. And and it's not like Blaine Brown was actually hitting well either.
No, he's really not going well
until
now.
Sunday, and that might have played a part in it. They kind of knew he was struggling at the plate.
Yep.
And tried to be aggressive doing that. So I mean, baseball is a game of failure. So when you make moves, you're going to get criticized, and
yep.
It's still a long season, and this thing where you have fans,
so dumb,
having like
dumb,
judging a coach by a game or even a series is just so tiring.
It's exhausting.
And Vitello got to experience all these growing pains without the spotlight, unlike Elander, which again he's got a much better team and talent to work with.
Yep.
But Vitello made a lot of bad moves those first couple of years that are moves that didn't work out, just like Elander has so far.
This team needs to get back on the beam, though, and win some games this week. And really, if they're going to make the NCAA tournament now, they got to start winning these Tuesday games. And I'm not being funny here. They do,
but they do that mostly.
They do. You're right.
Yeah. You got to win. You definitely have to win this series this weekend.
Yep. Yeah, you got to win the series this weekend. Yeah. Which LSU is not what they've been in the past, which is something worth underlining. But thank you, Matt. Great job today. Great job in the blog, man.
Yep.
Thank you, babe. Till we meet again, I want to remind you, my friends at VIP Plate, look, my Flyers are in action tonight. They went from me cheering for them to lose all their games to being the hottest team in hockey, second hottest, coming out of that post-Olympic break that they took a break for some reason. Nobody looks at it. But anyway, they're in Washington tonight. Now, they have one of the top players in college hockey this year. His team got upset. This is how crazy hockey is. His name's Porter Martone. He lost over the weekend in I think it was like the Elite Eight of college hockey, because they're going to have the Frozen Four. They lost before they were supposed to lose. He's going to be on the ice tonight in Washington, making his NHL debut. Can you imagine how crazy that sport is? Think about Tennessee got eliminated, and Nate Amen, if he were fully healthy, was making his debut tonight for, I don't know, like the Denver Nuggets or somebody. Or who would be commensurate to the Flyers in the NBA? Charlotte Hornets. Upstart team trying to make the playoffs. I mean, that is a crazy-ass sport. That's a crazy sport. Porter Martone tonight, I got a little prop play for you. He scores his first NHL point. Flyers win the game. And take the over. There's your play over at VIP Play. A little 3-pack for you, Joshy boy. Porter Martone scores a point. Flyers win the game and take the over. I am so fired up, focused, and prepared for that game right now. Shout out to my friends at VIP Play. Claim your VIP Play welcome bonus. $20, you bet. $100 in bonus bets appears instantly in your account. Put in that promo code TNTony. Help us get credit, which several hundred folks have done. Thank you for the support. Live always, 200-plus leagues, numerous bet types, props, options, all kinds of stuff. Baseball every night. My Phillies got beat like 12-3 last night by the Nationals, who aren't even trying. Shout out to the Phillies. They're 1-3. Hey, I feel like baseball's back. I texted my brother last night, and I said, man, baseball's back when I can hate watch the Phillies in early April. Porter Martone is the guy you want to bet on tonight, to score an anytime point. He'll be in action tonight. Again, Porter Martone. What an incredible name. Guy can play. Can play. And he's going to be a VIP tonight, because VIP Play is where everybody gets treated like a VIP. Incredible hoops conversation today. I want to thank, and by the way, if you have a gambling problem, 800-889-9789, 21 and over, located in the great state of Tennessee, to place a bet. If you And I want to shout out the great Mark Griffin. All year long, what a blessing that is to have him. Maury Hanks has been tasked now to break down some film. As soon as that portal goes active and we see who the Vols are involved with, I've got Maury on the scene. He'll be on here next week with us, breaking names down as they enter the portal that I know Tennessee's going to be involved with. Maury's got the short list, but he's sworn to secrecy. But he'll be on here next week breaking it down. This next couple and a half weeks is going to be one of the more interesting things we've ever seen. It really is. That basketball team on the men's side is captivating what they're getting ready to do. That basketball team on the women's side here, and these people can, this Doc Holliday or whatever that guy was, these people can come in here and say whatever they want to say and click your heels together and snap your fingers and clap your feet and do everything. That is a damn train wreck from the word go. Okay? It's really sad. Really, really sad. But till we meet again, for all those behind the scenes, I love you. I appreciate you. I want to thank the great Jennifer Morris, Next Move, SmokyMountains.com, for presenting John Adams week after week on here. And not only does she do that, but she's a servant. She has a servant heart. It's the way she approaches what she does. She values people. She's excellent. I love Jennifer Morris. And she's a big Braves fan. See, we can still see eye to eye. She loves her Braves. Will you have Kimmy? Yeah, we'll do Kim Caldwell Tell Me a Story one day on here. Sure. Those are fun programs. Till we meet again, for all those behind the scenes, I want to thank Rodney Kraft today for sharing a piece of his life with John Adams with us today. It was beautiful. John really lit up, Rodney, when I read him those names. He was really kind of freaked out in a small worldy kind of way. This internet thing, we have a community, you know. Some only answer the bell after post games. Some only answer the bell. We have a huge audience every day, but, you know, when it really swells after these posts, you know, all that stuff, it's a shame those people don't partake in it daily because they're missing out. They're missing out. Don't you believe that? If you only listened to this as a post-game vehicle, and that's fine. People are consumers. They can do what they're going to do. But they miss out on so much. Like yesterday when I played Titans-Bills nonsense. I mean, was that not a kick? Total kick. I appreciate you. I love you. I thank you. Timothy McGee, I want you, if I ever am a coach, I want you as my AD. Every day, all day. I'm going to start calling you AD McGee. I love you. To the living listener, we appreciate you. I want you to have a great day. Enjoy that beautiful weather if you're in East Tennessee today, like I'm getting ready to. Love you, appreciate you. Peace, GBO. And thank you, Griffo. And on Friday, I'll be with Bino, a Calhounzo. And we won't be playing Quizzo. You ever played Quizzo? I like Quizzo. Is Quizzo a thing here? I know.
Appreciated here at TonyBasilio.com.
Cinco is.
Home of the Tony Basilio Show.
Cinco will be on with us tomorrow, and then Singo. Singo's a great way to find out about some things. I think I'm going to go fall asleep, park, take a nap. Ba 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 ba. Da na 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 na. Da bum 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 bum. You found the Tony Basilio stream at TonyBasilio.com or on your smartphone or tablet. Another thrilling, chilling, and sometimes spilling edition of the Basilio Show is on the way next. Tips are always appreciated here at TonyBasilio.com.
FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville and W289CU Knoxville. Fan Run Radio.
Let's fire this thing up. Let's focus this thing, and let's prepare this thing. You've got literally